Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Really happy to have you here for session 5 of Umbral. And we're actually getting into our third case file today. It is our third, isn't it? Yes, it's our third case file. So I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing because it's supposed to be one case file per session and 5 sessions and 3 case files. It could be worse, but nevertheless,
Oh my.
today hopefully I will be able to get it in time. Who knows? I might even be a touch short. I'm trying to adjust the case file sizes so that it perfectly fits within that 3 hour session. But we'll see. Nevertheless, of course, I'm going to go over here and hit that like and share for any of you who are interested in coming in and joining us. And being part of this, watching it. I think it's really cool that so many people do come and watch these live. We were just talking about that. It's pretty neat. I don't really watch tabletop, role playing session live streams. I don't watch those, but I will sit and watch someone live stream. Like Raptor. You guys ever heard of Raptor?
Mm,
Well,
no, not off the top
Well, Raptor is he's a guy that has a YouTube channel. He's been doing it quite a while, and he does all those kind of city builders, Civ sim type of games, which I love. Those are my favorite types, right? And he will do live streams, and I will watch them.
of my head.
Which,
Oh, he'll
which,
do he'll do a live stream of a computer game,
you know,
not a tabletop role play. Okay.
right. So I'll watch that. So I get it.
I watch farming simulators. What do you want me to do?
No, I watch those too. It's same kind of thing. That's the kind of channel that is. Any kind of sim or city builder type of game, survival game, stuff like that. I don't know why. Why am I sitting here for 3 hours watching it when I could be playing a game myself? Don't ask me. But usually it's because it's like at the end of the night. I'm just kind of talking to my wife, fiddling around with the tablet maybe. And I just kind of have it all. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but people do it. So we appreciate you guys for who do come and check out the show. Hopefully you're enjoying it. We're always happy not only to have you guys give some feedback if you'd like. You can also come and join us if you want, especially with this Umbral campaign setting I have, which is the reason why I switched so abruptly from Imperius that we were running before. It was just to kind of make it easier for me, really. So if you guys want to just give it a try, you say you've never done a tabletop, and you just want to try it. This is the campaign to do it in. You can jump in for a session and see if you like it. Try it out. Just one's
Either
fine. No
come and
problem.
play with us,
Come in.
David.
Yeah, it's so easy though, lady, to get into this campaign, and I can handle it with the way I set it up. So, nevertheless, all that's good. Thank you all very much. And we don't want to dilly or dally very much, so
No.
I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it. You guys ready?
Oh yeah.
All righty. So let's go ahead and let's get started. All right. So I am sharing and I am showing here. So let me just check and see. Yeah, everything's good. All right. So, well, of course, you guys know we're using Cortex Prime, and our campaign is called Umbral. I did have. It was kind of interesting the other day, guys. Um, the the internet went out for the whole day on like the Sunday, and it sent the entire county into panic. Right. My wife was, it's funny because she's still using her phone on the LTE, right? And the ladies are chatting back and forth. What's going on? Da, 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 whatever. But anyway, so for me, it was like, okay, so it's my day. It's my Sunday. It's my only day where I'm actually can relax, right? And I said, well, you know what? Let me go and clean up the Umbral campaign setting. It put a little time into it, so I did. I put a day into it. Tell me if it looks better. First of all, I do have some pictures and stuff here for our players. Here is Lady's character, Mavis. She's unfortunately been scarred at some point. I don't know why. But she's well endowed. I know that. Good choice, lady. You know, but it's cool. And her character is more modern, right? Whereas on the other hand, Tower's character, who won't be with us tonight, but we do have his character set up, he's fallen out of the early 20th century.
Action arrow.
Yeah. All right. And then this is technically a placeholder, but this is my choice. I got these from these guys. And for GOP's
Uh,
character Xander, we have this guy.
which I still prefer the picture I sent you, but
No,
that's
no, we won't have none of that.
okay.
None of that.
Must have been a
uh,
really bad picture.
If you were smart, GOP, which you
if
had
I
not,
was, but I'm
if you
not.
were, if you were smart, what you would have done is you would have cut the head off, which is ridiculous, and put it on top of a bikini-clad lady, and then I would have had no choice but to put it on.
Yeah, you know
Yep.
that
You
that
have
would have made sense
you have to
in
force
hindsight.
you have to force the GM's hand sometimes. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I'm just going to today in the early part here, we're going to do some almost some upkeep, but not really. But it's just world development. So run with me here. Of course, you guys know we're in Boston, and that's where I set these guys up. Um, uh, and I know a lot of my stuff ends up in the Northeast, but you know, it's where I'm from.
Can't help it. You're born there.
Yeah, and I know these areas well, Boston in particular. Boston, a lot of people think of ooh, big city Boston. Nah, it's really small. It's actually quite small.
Yeah.
But and that's good because you can learn it pretty well. But you don't want to drive a car in Boston because it sucks balls. Because they're all old heritage streets. They won't widen them. They did put
Oh no,
the
yeah.
subway and stuff in, but anyway, this is Greater Boston area, and this thing over here, this little like fist that's it looks like an arm with a fist coming up. This is Boston, right? That's like Beacon Hill and North End and stuff like that. Theater District, downtown Chinatown, all that. They got they have their own garden like in Central Park, right? Then you got Back Bay, which is a lot of universities and stuff, and that's where I spent a lot of my time. South End, Fenway, of course, over here with the Red Sox. You got Brookline, which goes far deeper, which I'll show you in a minute. But I'm talking about General Boston, just to give you an idea. You got the Harvard Center up top. You got Cambridge Port, Central Scare, Kendall. And of course, you can go up to Marblehead, Lexington, Concord, Salem, if you're going north, or Cape Cod down here. But this is general central Boston. Brookline particularly goes a lot bigger, but this is kind of where they are. And in here, in this little tight area, there's probably 100 universities. Well, probably not, but
Mm.
it feels like it. It feels like it. And over here, down in the Seaport District, there's like this kind of pseudo highway thing here. And underneath it, right about here, if you can see where my pointer is, there is a
No, I can't.
little teeny place called, well, it used to be called the Hole in the Wall. I don't know if it's even there anymore. But there used to be a place called the Hole in the Wall. And it was literally underneath this little overpass area. And it had the best pizza on planet Earth. Hmm. Yep.
As someone who lives near Chicago,
Well, you guys
I
don't have pizza. You have the classical Italian pizza pie, which is casserole, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. People bust your chops a lot for it, but if it's good. Yeah, I actually enjoy pizza pie, but it's not pizza as far as what the world considers pizza, right?
yeah, it's definitely not the exact same thing. I
No.
I'm
will
having
Uh,
say.
flashbacks of Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Here is the greater Boston area. Of course, all of these places in here are all, they're not far. They're not far. So this is all kind of part of Boston. It's like if you go to New York, there's Jersey Shore, and you have all that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, a lot of these names are probably familiar to you. Arlington, I'm sure you've heard about. Belmont, Watertown, you certainly heard of. Newton, Brookline, of course. So I just thought it'd be nice to throw up some maps to get a kind of idea where we're in. But of course, our main base in Boston is at the Dove Boston offices, which I have chosen here. Now, this is down in where did I put this? Where did I put this?
Brookline, it said on the thing.
Yeah, Brookline. Yeah, Brookline. Now, Brookline, just so you know, down in not all of it, but the majority of Brookline is where the rich people are.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a bunch of estates down there. It's just rich people center in Brookline. And keep in mind that Boston is one of the most expensive cities in the world to live in. I mean, I'm serious. It's in that list with Saint San Moritz. Is it what's it called? San Moritz, is that the name? That's the most expensive one
No.
in that little Swiss town. $50,000 for a hotel room for one night. That's how the
wow.
rich people keep you out.
That's like that's like Hunter Biden rental money,
Yeah, it is, dude. It
and
is.
that's for a month.
Well, that's how the
All right.
rich people keep you out. They just make everything too expensive for you, and it's smart, really. Of course, we got our boss and stuff like that. And I'm not going to go through all this again. I just wanted to but I have cleaned up everything, and I've added combat files for everybody and everything, and it's all nice. And there is some updates I'm going to do, but I want to do it in play. Okay, so let's get into it then. All righty then. All right, where was I here? Oh yes. So now, where last we left off, there, these guys were called down to New York, sent down to New York because there was a demonic incursion going on. Now, these things happen from time to time, but in a big city, they don't, because that's a big risk, right? It's a big gamble. City, especially the big ones like say New York, are really well protected, right? And this one was like millennia. It's been literally 1,000 years since they've seen an incursion of that size. And these guys just got thrown into it. They didn't really know what was going on. They just went down and did their thing, and they were part of it. But you guys played no significance in it. You just kind of were along for the ride, right? Um, and fair enough, because in the end, there was a problem. And that problem was that because what were they up to? What was the incursion? The incursion's real motivation? Well, it was to bring in Lord Roll. Now, Lord Roll is Archduke of Stygia. Now, in this, when I build a cosmology, I like to have it where it makes sense. You know, silly me. But the way I've layered this, you got the mortal realm, you got the veil, the mortal veil, which surrounds us. Then you have well beyond that, you have the Ador, which is simply an ancient word for heaven, which it doesn't really but it doesn't matter. The ascended live there, and they have very little to do with us. However, because they can't come back past their veil. But they do influence things and cause things, and most of the influences are either through them promoting and supporting jerk offs like this guy, demons, or sending their own agents, which are the magi or angels or gods or Deva or whatever, depending on the time in history. But this dude, they were able to because you guys had no clue that they were actually trying to gate some big dude in. It was just like a demon incursion, right? But
Mhm.
they were hiding that, and so Lord Rull, not only did they succeed in gating him in, he is on the planet walking around, right? That's not a good thing. Matter of fact, you have to go back to like early Roman years, the last time that an archduke level demon was walking around the planet. So it's a big deal, and there's been response to it. Now we're going to get into that. So what happened with, of course, is Lady Ninma was in the fight with them, and she was very near to them, and she saw when he was coming in that bad things were to happen. So she basically grabbed them and teleported them because she is an Umbra Walker. And they kind of knocked these guys out because they're not used to traveling that way. However, they woke up in the Umbral Bastion of Shiloh. Now, Umbral Bastions are another chance for world building here. Between the mortal realm, the veil that surrounds it, the mortal veil, and the Ador, there is this gulf called the Umbra. And the Umbra not only surrounds everything and intertwines with everything, not only one planet to another planet, right? So the majority of the space-time continuum is actually Umbra. But certain individuals, particularly magical types, um, can actually build little pocket dimensions in the Umbra called bastions, right? This is something that the Ascended, of course, can't do because they can't come back across the Ascended Veil. And demons can't do it either because keep in mind, demons are dead. When people die, they either ascend or they fail to ascend, and then there's various degrees of that. But they're trapped inside the mortal veil. And the only way for them to go anywhere is to go back into the mortal world by possessing people. They can't enter the Umbra, actually. They can use umbral energy. They're fueled by it, but they can't go into it. Only people like you can. Now, you guys, none of you guys took the ability to do something like that, but you can exist in the Umbra, no problem. It doesn't hurt you. It'll burn everything, everybody else. You don't want to bring a normal mortal in there, or that or bring a demon in there. It's a quick way to kill him. But anyway,
Second that.
yeah, yeah, it's a quick way to get rid of him.
Why didn't you just grab a hold of Lord what's his name and then, hey, let's go visit someplace?
I have
Oh
a
well.
plan. I have an answer to that. Um, which give me a second here. So,
Okay.
you guys woke up
Sorry.
in the well, no, no. I'm going to do a little bit of world building and then we'll jump into it. Okay. But you guys find yourself on the Umbra Bastion with Lady Ninma, and this is it's very Asian themed, like China Asian themed, and it is an ascetic bastion. And for particularly wizardly type people, mages, well, we don't. I've chosen the word magi for the well, it's a different thing, but whatever. They love this place. During your 10 years of training, did you come here? Maybe you had a field trip. I'm not sure. It's possible. It is quite famous. But this is really a boring place where people come and study history and lore and magic and stuff like that. It's very peaceful. It's very quiet. And that's the great thing about bastions. You ain't getting in unless you have an invitation. They're quite safe. And that's why they call them bastions. You can't have people just, you know, you know, bash into a bastion. It doesn't. It's almost impossible. But you guys are in here. Lady Ninma is hasn't said much to you. She's very dejected. You can, usually she's quite emotionless. She controls her emotion really well, but she's being quite emotional, even though she's not really saying anything. But she's just not. She's upset, right? And you guys spend 2 days here, and of course the whole place is a chat, is a buzz and chattering about Lord Roll coming on Roll. I gotta pronounce that correctly. Lord Roll coming onto the planet.
Lord
And
Raoul.
well, I tried, man. But anyway, um, so there is a lot of buzz, and even though I don't know your characters, this might be a fun place for you, but it is a place of study, quiet, and peace. However, the food is freaking fantastic, and you can have as much as you like. So you guys are just kind of chatting with the other ascetics and or it just means monk, right? And other people, there's other people there. Like I said, everyone's talking about it. What's going to happen, what's going on. And in the first, you're here 2 days, and you do see her a couple times talking to some high level priests from a distance. And like I said, she's quite emotional and upset. But you guys have information. There's even a guy who has this cool tech that allows him to get live feeds from the mortal realm, and you guys can watch. You guys are watching CNN, of course. Everyone, it's the airport. But of course, the mortal world isn't truly aware what's going on. There was gang war in New York, and that stayed on the news for about 5 minutes because it's not interesting. There seems to be a lot of terrorist activity going on in the Middle East right now. Yeah, and of course that's exactly where Lady Ninma said he would go. Right? She said the last thing I said at the end of the last episode was he'll go to the Middle East. He always does. So, but you spend that time now in the after breakfast on the third day. Um, uh, well, actually, is there anything you'd like to do in here? I mean, there's not really much to do, but I'll give you the opportunity.
Okay, so did anybody port in here from New York? From the bureau in New York?
No, no. There's like I said, this is kind of a like a giant library. Really, is what it is. No, you guys don't see anybody here other than Lady Ninma. But there are people. Keep in mind, particularly because you guys are not immortal. You can be killed, but you are ageless, right? You are
Mhm.
literally tethered to the Umber. You will not age beyond just simply, maturing, like with Lady's character. So
Yeah.
there are people who spent centuries, humans, living humans, that just spend centuries in bastions. They don't go to the mortal realm at all, or the Vale. You guys can also go to the Vale, but that's a rough place. Yeah, you don't want to go there. I mean, unless you're looking for a fight. But there are people like that. So there's thousands of people who live in these bastions. You guys don't know who they are. But they're friendly enough. I mean, this is a happy joy place, dude. You got a bunch of people who love sitting in libraries and studying and with amazing food. They're happy people. A lot of fatties too, though.
Easy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I was just seeing if anybody else kind of got the same idea we did and fled to one of these things, but
Well,
um,
no, no, not that you see, but some of them could. Who knows? You don't really know what's going on beyond the trickle of information that's coming in. Lady, is there anything you'd like to do here in the Bastion of Shiloh?
Sure, but I have no points to spend really.
Oh yeah, no,
So
that's fair.
couldn't learn anything in 3 days. Okay.
I'm
you know what?
just talking about role playing, really.
Yeah.
Um, so you gave us that crafting skill, and we haven't ever actually used it. Uh, I'm wondering if I could, because I already have that cologne, right?
Yep,
If I could imbue it in some way with like something that like impacts demons to give me a little, like maybe just even if it's like a D6, but something
sure.
that'll and like if I can craft it into it, like add
hmm
something to it or learn
Well,
how to add into
well,
it.
mechanically, it's just simply spending experience points, right? So I mean, that's that. But as far as role playing wise, yeah, you could certainly start that research here, and this would be a good place to get the information and get you rolling forward. Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of get the feeling you're going to be here when a little while because she kind of just leaves and she's not happy, right? And it's weird. There's an anger in her eyes, which you've seen before, but there's a melancholy attached to it. But you kind of get the idea that you're going to be here a little while. So you've been thinking about it, and you go off and look in the libraries. You talk to librarians and stuff like that, and you meet one guy, and his name is Dieter Voss. Because. Mhm. And Dieter is really into chemistry and things like that, and studies it a lot. You kind of were directed to him, and you go and find Dieter, and he's in one of the library buildings, and he actually, which is not uncommon here, he's taken an entire table for himself and has a little laboratory set up in the library actually, and he's which you see that actually happens quite a bit. But you approach Dieter, and he's busily, frantically interacting with chemicals and taking notes and stuff.
All right. All right. Well, yeah, I approach him. Hey, pardon me over there.
Oh,
Name's
uh,
Xander. Xander Lyons.
yeah. How can I be of help? He's Sweden. He's Swedish.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Look, I hear you're a guy who knows how to do like chemicals and all that stuff.
And yeah. I loved chemistry.
You see, I use this particular cologne. It works pretty great for me. Obviously, all the ladies love it. But you know, it's also doubles pretty good as mace. But I want to like it's good for bears and stuff. But I'd like something a little bit more potent on like demons.
Ah, well, let me see.
All right.
So you hand it to him. All right.
Yeah.
He seems friendly enough. He's not miffed or bothered by you. He takes a little bit, and he takes out a little beaker, and takes about 10 minutes, and he kind of researches. He said, "Yeah, this is disgusting. Yeah,
I have it on good authority that all the ladies enjoy it so much, but they can't tell me, because they're too embarrassed at my stunning good looks.
I think you are delusional. Yeah, it's okay. I am too." But he goes and he looks through a stack of books and another stack, and he pulls out a little small volume actually, and he says, "Here, take this to the copier." And
Thank you very much. All right.
now
Yeah.
you do have a little problem. It is written in some language you have no freaking clue. Although
Don't worry,
it
the copier
is
will
it
translate
is
for you.
it
It's
is
that kind of
Roman
thing.
letters though. That's handy.
Okay.
And so it needs deciphering.
Yeah. You guys got like a Google Translate or something over here?
Yeah, study is the best solution.
All
Okay.
right.
Good for you with your demon cologne. Good luck. And he goes back to his work. There is in every library building there is a machine you can put it in, and it will create a physical and with modern times a digital copy of it. You can't take books out of the library, obviously. This type
Obviously.
of library, but they will magically make a copy for you and a digital one too if you'd like. Now, there are certain books in the library which are restricted and cannot be copied at all, but this isn't one of them. And But you can take some time and translate that book, and by just time and then spending experience points. Just say your character's working on it every now and then, right? You can spend that XP to do what you want with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just as if I decide to go that route in the future, I'll have an excuse to.
yeah,
You
no,
know.
I love it. That's just role playing, dude. You should be doing that, right? Because I mean, mechanically, you can do whatever you want. I mean, mechanically. Although things are probably, how are you feeling with the XP? You think it's going to start getting expensive? I mean, really expensive?
Yeah, just because I mean it's not so hard if you're bumping things up to like to 8, But once you get past that point, it starts to get a bit much. I guess it depends. Like
That's
if
good though.
if
I
things,
like that.
yeah, if the game goes on and we have like as we get more experienced, we get more experience points
Yeah,
from
yeah, you
sessions.
are. You'll
That'd
get
be
you'll get more today than you've gotten at any point. So
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, as long as
it
it's
does scale.
scaling, that it'll work fine.
Yeah, no, it scales. It does. Yeah, no, you're talking to a gamer. I
Mm-hmm.
understand scaling. Unfortunately, many of the computer companies out there in the world don't. bastards. Anyway, don't get me started. But anyway, so you do that. Lady, is there anything you want to do with your character? This isn't really your place. You're more of a modern tech girl. It's not really
Yeah.
your place, to be fair.
And they really don't have modern technology around here, do they?
They do
Oh,
have some. They have integrated some. We just so we can make a digital copy, but that's yeah, not much. Yeah, not much.
there's
Uh,
that one guy who was getting the news. Like
yeah,
he found a way to
that's
like,
right. That's right. And that's an
like
interesting little device because you think about the technology involved. You guys are not only in the Umbra, you're in an Umbral bastion, and he is somehow
Yeah, I'm gonna bug him on how he made that, what was the certain
sure,
specs of it,
sure.
and
Um,
maybe try to fold that into like the communications of our group,
Oh, well, sure. You
the
can go
little
talk to him.
earpieces he wear.
His name is, and you guys have to write this down if you want. I gave you Dieter Voss, the Swedish person with a German name who is a chemist. I will give you. His name is William Perkins. And William and you can often tell one of the things in your world, which I always love, is Harry Potter did such a great job of that as well, is because a lot of these people are much longer lived than normal mortals. You tend to get stuck in your era, right?
Yeah.
And most people don't modernize beyond a certain point. So you can tell quite well that William is probably would be pronounced Willem actually is a 19th century lad, right? So he's been around at least a century and a half probably and but he's into the tech and you go up to chat with him and you see the tech more closely because he's been sharing it through scrying things and just he's got it all
Mhm.
worked out. It is very modern though, the tech. It's not like a steampunk version. It's quite modern. But anyway, Willem is sitting at a table. It's lunchtime, and he's sitting at a cafe at a table, and he's enjoying some dim sum. Lady,
I don't know what dim sum is,
you don't have to know what
honestly.
dim sum is. It's a little. It's like tapas, Chinese version of tapas.
Oh,
Does that tell you don't know what tapas are?
no.
Jesus, what would be the American? We don't.
Noodles?
No, we don't have a.
Dumplings?
No, we don't have an equivalent in America. Snacking food.
Snack food. Chips,
Little
okay. Well,
small portions of food, and you can order as much as you
okay.
want. Little teeny
Oh, yeah,
small
I'll reach
portions.
over and, get one with the
Okay, immediately
chopsticks or something.
he shoots you with a futuristic ray gun, and you're dead. That sucked.
I'm the only person left. Well,
Yeah,
currently,
yeah, yeah.
power's off for
Oh
whatever
well,
reason.
oh
Sorry,
well.
I'm
Yeah,
dead.
yeah. Well, no, I mean,
Really?
you're going to steal his food. Why would you do that?
Oh, no, it's right there in front of him. And go,
It's
"Hey,
his food. Why would you ever take someone's food, though? I don't understand. Would you
what does
do
it
that?
taste like?"
It doesn't
It's a
matter.
random
No human does
stranger.
that. No human does that.
It's supposed to be flirtatious, okay? This is why, I'm single.
All right, that explains a lot. Yeah. No,
Oh
no
man.
human does that, lady. No human does that. Yeah.
Fine. I'll sit
Now,
down
if
across
you're
the
in a
table from him.
relationship, that's different. Yeah. But you don't
Sit
walk
down
up to
across
some
from him.
Random stranger.
Hi.
and just take their food. It's like, Jesus
I
Christ,
understand your,
It's a power move.
I guess. He's kind of looking sideways at you as you're munching on his Xiao Mai. But okay, he's
I
like,
understand you're, the
yes,
tech guy.
yes. Would you like me to order
Um,
you something?
she doesn't have no money, does she?
It
I think
doesn't
it's
cost
all
money
free.
here. Yeah, they
Not
don't have
really.
that kind
I've
of
never
system.
tasted that before. Sorry,
Well, a
I'm used to
siomai
sharing with
is basically a little shrimp dumpling inside that is three quarters wrapped in a kind of like a wonton noodle casing.
oh, okay.
Lady, if you really want to make friends with him, you should blow some smoke in his face.
Yeah, you do that. Yeah. What the hell's up with
Like,
these
look,
people, GOP?
I don't
I
know.
bring out my phone. I go, I'm a tech person too.
He says, "Oh yeah, I can see that." And you know, he relaxes because you know, obviously you're not threatening him, but it is a bad first impression. Nevertheless,
Sorry.
you sit and you chat with him for a little bit, and he talks about his tech. Now, this guy, you're still your character's super young.
Yeah,
Although, what is your mental right now?
my mental's DA.
A D. Oh, well, so your mental's fairly low then. So you're kind of more of
Sorry.
a. Well, no, no. I mean, that's how this game applies, right?
Yeah,
We don't need to roll dice all the time in this game. We just use ratings, right?
yeah.
And a D6 would be your average human, so you're above average, but you're nowhere near this
Not
guy.
compared to him.
No, this
Right.
guy is sitting on a D12 with buffs, right?
Ugh.
Extra buff dice. So it's just beyond you. He's not a dick though. He's not. He obviously can see that you don't understand what he's talking about, but he actually is nicer than you are,
Sorry.
stealing
He
people's food, right?
just
Um, but
one little piece.
but he does give you a little bit of potential conversation starter. Now, um, I can't give you a contact for him, lady, because the way you introduce with him. But however, GOP, you can take a D6 contact for Dieter Voss.
Okay.
Not D6, just six. Just write down the six. But that's how that works. It's their type of asset in this game. Assets can be, wealth. It can be objects, like you all have an asset. It could be locations. It could be people. And I don't know if you wrote it down. I probably forgot to mention it. But GOP, you also have a D6 asset in Dr. O'Hare with Dove, right? So you do have two actual contact assets, and asset contacts can be used in dice rolls if it's pertinent, right? But anyway, lady, you do have 2 days, and if you want to spend some of that time trying to smooth it over with this guy and make him a contact, I will give you that dice. But you're gonna have to spend your 2 days here talking with him, which is fine.
I'll do
I
that.
mean, there's nothing else to do.
I'll do that.
Okay, so write down on your sheet William Perkins. It's a six rating, a D6 rating. Now these guys are not. You're not going to run into them normally, but who knows if you know because you guys do have access to portals, a portal system. So you can portal into any of the open bastions that the now I'm going to lay this out a little bit more today, and keep in mind today is going to be a lot of kind of world building and type of upkeep and stuff like that. But that those are fun too. But I will mention this as we go along. But you guys are kind of automatically, without even being asked, you're kind of part of the pact. That's PACT, pact. And the pact is something that started up 200 years ago, a little more than 200 years ago. And it's just a bunch of factions that came together and like now because there was a big war, a couple 250 years ago, that caused a lot of trouble. And you had a whole bunch of these factions come together and say we need to work together to keep the world peaceful and make it prosperous. And the pact is the very largest of those. In some ways, it's almost like the masquerade in the world of darkness. They're not so concerned about hiding, magic and stuff from the world, but like the masquerade is. But it kind of works like that. You guys, because of the situation and who you work for and everything like that, you're pact members basically by default. And so you can go to any pact bastion, which this is one of the pact bastions, um, freely. Like I said, you have access to a portal system in mission control, right? Anyway, if you find you have need for it in the future, you come back. Anyway, so it is the just after breakfast on the third day. Breakfast was awesome, by the way. Sesame noodles. And Lady Ninma comes striding up to you quite vigorously. Individually, or maybe you guys are in a similar area, whatever, she gathers you. And she says, "All right, we're going back to Boston." And everything's fine. Boston has had no effect. Of course, things are different now, and you will see that and gain information, I'm sure. But before we go back, I want you to hear it from me. Then before anyone else tells you, I think this is kind of important. Lord Ro is my sire.
Oh, okay. Uh, my my character like just has like a blank look on his face, and he just nods. You know,
Yeah,
it's
you
just
don't really understand the implications, but she says it as if she's saying it's my father. She didn't use that word, and clearly they're not the same race. But she says it like that though, and she kind of uh, she almost stutters after saying it. She says, "Go to the portal gate and head back to Boston. I'll meet you later."
all
I try to
right.
hold her up
Hey,
for a second.
what's up?
I try to hold her up for a second.
She looks back at you.
Eddie Nim,
Ninma,
we are
yeah,
not
yeah, Lady Nim's fine.
responsible. Yeah,
Sorry, sorry. Go ahead.
we are not responsible who our parents are or what they've done.
She kind of looks sadly down a little bit and then looks sternly back at you. She was kind of disappeared for a second and came back, the normal Lady Ninma, and she says, "Yes, but
Yes.
we are responsible for ours." And she just fades into a black mist and disappears.
Maybe she was bad. She turned to the bad. Sort of like Darth Vader turned from dark side to the good side, bad good side to the bad side, whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to build an arc with her. She's
Yeah.
one of the main NPCs, right?
Yeah.
But so you guys head back to Boston, and things are a little bit chaotic, of course, in Boston, and over the next couple of weeks, um, things start to settle down. Because everyone's really, really worried. But 2 weeks pass, and you get little slivers of information. You guys are effectively pretty low level, right, in the organizations, right? You're not nothing, you know. You're certainly above a clerk, but there's not a lot of information that's going to come to you directly yet. You guys haven't earned that position yet. But 2 weeks pass by, and there's just not much information. Clearly, Raul has gone to the Middle East. Speculations is that he is in somewhere in Syria. There's been plenty of sightings in Damascus, and there have been battles in Damascus. This is the little bit of information you're getting. The human media, the New York thing is gone. You know how people are with news. It was a hot topic for half a day, and then it's gone, and everyone just kind of writ it off as gang violence, and that's it, right? And especially with Chicago. Chicago. As far as situation in the Middle East, there are reports of a new group, which no one really knows what their name is yet. But some are calling them the new ISIS or what have you, and trying to create the caliphate again. Which once again, what's new, right? So
Yeah.
that's about it in the human news, and you guys aren't getting much more yourself. You can talk to Mr. Berquist, of course. He is your boss, And I put little details on the bottom there here to give a little bit more information. He's an umbral. In this world, there's only three types, right? You got humans, umbrals, and demons, right? And not all demons are bad, but demons simply signifies that they are in possession of a body that's not theirs, right? And there are many legal ways to do that. Whether it's moral or not, there are legal ways and illegal ways. We just dealt with that with the character of Lynn in our last case file, right? But
Right.
he doesn't have much information for you, and he's, any of you that have a higher understanding of any kind of ledger domain or anything like that, he is stonewalling you. And
So he doesn't say anything about like what, like if anyone survived from the raid, or what's the state of the New York
no, there's
office.
no information. You guys can research that if you'd like, but they don't have. And once again, you don't really know any of those people over there anyway. The only person you've
Yeah.
met was like a chief and some little a secretary lady and London. So you don't really know them anyway. You didn't lose any people out of this office though, which is good.
Okay.
And during the past couple weeks, because you're working, right? You guys actually have a full time job, right? You work here, and you've been doing quite a bit of, just little busy work stuff around Boston. You haven't left Boston. You've been in Boston, and you're just doing little things like go and deal with, and it's all has to do with the Umbral world, right? And that's what you guys deal with. You don't deal with the mortal world. That's the police and the government. That's their job. It's not your job, right? But little kind of things like domestic disputes, disagreements between landlords, little things like this, but which need doing. But you've been spending your time doing that. Ninma has been very distant, not only with you, but with everybody. She hadn't really spoken to you directly, other than just, in a business, or a professional point of view. I did add a little character here because I keep talking about the techies and mission control. So I added a lady here. Her name is Jessie
Oh, she
Will.
looks familiar.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a little black. I was going to put two or three of them in, but I was like, yeah, I resisted. But I had to put her in because that's a perfect little
Can't
picture
have a
for what
good
we want.
looking guy in there.
I have plenty of good dudes. There are lots of dudes. You don't think Mr. Burquest is a handsome man? No.
A little
Okay.
old for my taste.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I got some sexy boys coming later. But I did add her, so this is just simply there are many techies, but she's the portal dispatcher. So you guys talk to her a lot, right?
Yeah.
Especially you, lady, because you're
Yeah.
often the one making those kind of calls, right? You're kind of in your communications officer basically for the group. So you speak to her all the time, So I just figured I'd throw her in just as a character. It's not anything mechanical, of course, you guys are doing these little busy work stuff and just going about your business. A month has passed, and once again, you're doing a lot of busy work. You might be feeling frustrated or not by that, but like I said, these things do need doing, and you've done them before. But it's like all you're doing now is the little kind of interacting with the community. Is this bothering either one of your characters?
I did want to do something. I wanted to go make a contact with the troll guy, the doorman, if
Mm,
he's still around.
perfect timing. I'm just about to drop on that. Good timing there, lady. But
I mean,
answer my
yeah.
question before we get into that though.
Uh,
GOP
I
is
think of it. I'll let you go
My
first.
my character is just doing whatever. He's getting paid. He's just doing his job.
sure.
He's not
Okay.
like he doesn't need to have like the crazy work, you know, to feel like okay. He's happy to do what he's doing.
Okay, lady. I'm sorry.
In my mind, it's like, what is it, when you, go to a sorority and want to join a sorority, you get all the shitty jobs?
Yeah.
That's the way I say it. It's just until the next new group comes in,
Yep. Now,
this
you
is what
guys
we
are the
gotta do.
rookies. That is true. That is
Yeah,
true.
we're the
And
rookies. I
and to
mean,
be
we got a
honest,
good bump there when we brought in what's his name, but
you did. You did. And so you've earned your chops for being here. And it is busy work, but you also notice that you're starting to meet the people of the city, right? And I'm going to get into that here, because so far you guys did missions outside of Boston, but you didn't really know because you're not from here. And you guys, when we first started, you were, what, a week in, was it? Something like that. A couple of weeks. You really didn't know Boston, but you're starting to get to know who are the movers and shakers in Boston in the Umbral world, right? And that's actually kind of important for your job. So there is value to it, actually. But speaking of what Lady had mentioned, a month has passed, and you guys just doing your job, and not much information coming out. What's going on with the literal Archduke, Abyssal Lord on the planet? But something does come up. You are called into. Um, let's see who I want to do this with. Oh, yes. You are called into the enforcement division office, which you guys have probably, because that's where they have all the ammunition and stuff, and you guys have probably been in there. You've certainly been in there. Tower
oh
spends
yeah.
a lot of time there. He actually has contact in that area because it's his thing. But it's not really a place you would hang out normally. But you are called over. The dispatcher actually sends you over, and you have a meeting in here, and Jesse here sends you over, and because the brand new director wants to talk to you. So you guys go over to the Dove Enforcement area in this big warehouse building, and you recognize the new director. He's got a promotion. Director Sims. He is the fellow you guys dealt with in the field, if you remember. And he's been doing that quite a long time, and he's finally got himself a new position. So you guys come into the office. He is smile. He says he's very happy to see you again. Ask, how are you doing? How are things going? We'll start with Lady.
It's good to see you. I'm glad to see you're here.
Oh, I'm glad.
Uh,
Very happy too. I'm very happy. GOP.
Well, looks like you're moving up in the world.
Yeah, no, it was completely unexpected, but I'm going to, as they say, rise to the challenge, and I'm very happy to have it. I do got the experience, so it kind of makes sense. But nice to see you guys. Keep in mind, I know you guys are part of the verification and investigation side of things, but if you need anything, just give me a holler. But beyond that, I have you in here because um, the director, and he's talking about Burquest, right? Has offered you an opportunity, and these kind of opportunities, they happen. It happens, but this one is a little bit unique, and you don't have to accept this. But I think you would be crazy not to. But nevertheless, let me just tell you what this offer is. You guys remember that case you were working on with 7 Orchard Street?
uh,
It was your 15 minutes, as they say, with Mr. Nix.
yeah.
Well, um, the inquest into that has finished, and the decision of the inquest was that although Mr. Nix, of course, is a vile criminal and he's been sent off to be, imprisoned as he should. The other members of, particularly Seven Orchard Street, there were other organizations. His fingers run deep, and we haven't even got close to his entire group of people, I'm sure. But that particular place, the people you interacted with, they have been found not directly guilty and allowed to not be imprisoned. However, they have been restricted to almost like a house arrest to Boston for a 10-year period. And it has been agreed that they'll be allowed to continue operating the 7 Orchard Street brothel and other things. And don't ask me why, but they are.
I know
Uh,
why.
yeah, we all know why. But however, they need supervision. And it's been offered to you not only to supervise the situation, but ownership of the building.
So we're basically like glorified parole officers.
Yes, but you do get the perk of taking a profitable percentage because they're literally offering you a three-way ownership of the building of 7
Mhm.
Orchard Street. And of course, that would require the oversight of the management as well as the personnel, right? And with that, there are a lot of extra space in there that could be used. You guys could take up apartments, live in the building if you want. There's all kind of things you could do with it. Of course, it'll be up to you. But like I said, you don't have to take it, but why wouldn't you? It's extra money.
Yeah. Well,
Do that and our
nothing.
regular jobs? That's what I'm asking. We
Well,
do that and our regular
I
jobs?
didn't hear anything you said, lady. Say it again.
I go, we're gonna have to do that and our regular jobs?
No, you don't have to do anything. Actually, you just kind of have to make sure they don't get on the line. Miss Bethany is quite capable of managing that place. She's been doing it for decades, right?
So she survived the ordeal.
She did. She did. They all did, and
So
so we can get into that. But he actually, because he knows you're the tech person, he actually hands the file over to you, lady. And as you're
okay.
looking through the file, you see all the information, and then you see the accounting. This place
Is it a
makes a
mess?
lot of money. Oh no, it's pristine. It's pristine. Lady Bethany, it may well be a madam, but she is or whoever she has doing it is clearly a very capable accountant. And you're looking at the potential profit just from glancing at it for the three of you of being like an extra $50,000 to $80,000 a year each.
Well, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking this place is, it's a very exclusive place.
It
And the
is.
same people who probably kept this place going are some people that I might really want to be friends with, great political connections.
Well, the
Like,
clientele, yeah, the
yeah, the
clientele.
clientele
It's very high
is
end.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the money's great, but that's probably even more valuable.
He takes another the tower is here with us at this particular moment actually.
He's
He
a
takes
ghost.
out another three pieces of paper and he says he puts them down and says if you're interested, sign it.
Well, we should probably wait until Tower is actually here.
That's fine.
But
I don't need we'll get his
No,
opinion
Tower does
later.
enough stupid things without us. I sign it.
That's fine. Well, no, there are three individual papers.
yeah, well, I mean, I would sign. I would sign,
Okay.
and
So
we'll
you
just
guys
say Tower has to think about it. But
That's fine.
he'll
That's fine.
I'll do the same
We
thing we
don't
did.
need to worry about that. But it's not that big a deal. But anyway, what was the salaries you guys were getting so far?
I don't think you
Um,
mentioned it.
well, idea. It's not like the other game where you were telling us how much we were making each month.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I can
no,
tell
Because
you that.
I'm not because I'm not doing that. The Cortex system doesn't really need to do that. But with your
Uh,
salaries and your and your danger pay and stuff like that, you guys are making 100,000 a year for sure, right?
Okay.
And this right here is, like I said, the account is very tight, but it's also probably not being used to its extensive advantage. If you guys want to put time into managing it, making it better, it probably would produce more. But for right now, it's adding $50,000 a year. So you guys are at 100 each, right? You guys are at $150,000 a year is your wealth. And
Okay.
of course, after this meeting, it's very cordial, and he shakes your hand. And he says, congratulations. Keep in mind, this is just kind of the way the agency kind of gives perks,
Why did they pick you to tell us this?
because ultimately it's my responsibility. These people are under a uh, what is it, suspension, or what's the word I want?
Probation.
Probation.
Probation. Thank you very much. And that falls under his his arena, his department, right?
Like I
So,
say for instance, we're having trouble with this one on a case. We're having trouble with this one thing, and we could really use a certain muscle backup, meaning the doorman. Would it be allowed for him to do this?
oh no, oh no, 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 no,
Damn,
no, 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 no.
damn.
In no way should you involve them in any agency business whatsoever. These people are under probation. To be honest, looking at the records, which he's not going to show you, he would have found imprisoned them, because they were all guilty as far as he's concerned. And the only and he speaks, very plainly with you. We all know the only reason why this building was allowed open and allowed those people to continue management is because of the clientele who go there. That's it. These people are. I am definitely keeping my eye on them.
Okay.
Yeah,
You should.
and he
Any
should.
particular people we should keep information on for you or him,
What
whoever?
What are you talking
I'm
about?
sure. Never mind. I'm pretty sure the madam knows everything, and of course, it's confidential. So,
Yeah, but what is it
all
you're
right.
trying to say, though, lady? Be more
Yeah,
specific.
find dirt on people. How about that?
Well, I
On
mean,
political
you
people.
can do as you want, but that's not a conversation you would have with him, especially not him. This guy
Okay.
Yeah.
is buttoned up. Understand that. You would
All right.
never have a conversation with this guy about that.
Okay.
No, this is just like a in-game perk. It's an asset.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just gave you an asset, lady, called 7 Orchard Street. It is a brothel. There is a small gambling room in it, and there's occasionally known to be certain other kind of drug related activities, although those are frowned upon. But the brothel aspect and the gambling den are considered okay. Right. But anyway, of course, after that, you guys go over and have a conversation with the people at 7 Orchard Street. And
Oh, you changed her up.
I didn't change anything. First time I've shown any pictures for these. Like I said, I did some work. Yeah. And
Okay.
I cleaned everything up. But here, of course, is Miss Bethany. She's run this place for decades. As you can see, she, of course, is a demon, and she's the vampire type. Like I said, there's many ways for a lingering soul or a veil soul to be able to get into possession of a human body. Vampirism is one of the old ways, right? There are many different. That's the difference between the demon factions, is how do they gain possession, and vampires are legal, and it is a legal way, although you probably don't find it very moral, or maybe you do. But nevertheless, and of course, keep in mind that the pact itself has there are demons in the pact. It's not just umbrals. There's also demons in it that are part of the pact. There's another very major vampire faction, particularly here in the Northeast, ranging from New York all the way up to Boston. And Boston is actually their headquarters, and that's the Winter Court. Now, they're not necessarily the most powerful vampire faction in the world, but in this area, they are. In this area, they are. And like I said, they're from anywhere from New York to Nova Scotia. But Boston is their headquarters. Is where their queen is in this city. So the Winter Court is are major players. Nevertheless, of course, you see some familiar faces, and there's plenty of girls working here, and dealers and stuff like that who do all their job. But the three that you know mainly, of course, are Miss Bethany. Her name is Bethany Miller. Now you have all their information, by the way. She is a vampire, but she's unaffiliated, right? And of course, we also have Mr. Doss, and he doesn't have any other name because keep in mind that this type of demon trolls are thralls. They're created to be lackeys. So he doesn't really have memory of who he was. There's even a chance the way that trolls are made that he could be a animal spirit. It's possible, right? But he has no memory of what he was. All he knows is what he is, and he's not very smart. But they're radically loyal, and they're created to be so. They are literally a thrall. But Mr. Doss, of course, is still here. And I did a little shifting on him because I couldn't resist the picture. But Gabriel Lynn is also here. He's no longer Indian. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
He could have been born in India, though. It's possible.
kind of reminds me a bit of the diva.
A little bit, but it's the
Yeah.
perfect picture. Because if you look here, not only does he have his psionic abilities, but he also is an accounting level 10. So more than likely,
Oh,
he's the guy that keeps the books, right?
that makes sense.
And then there's, of course, there's a bunch of prostitutes and, like I said, some dealers and some servers and stuff like that. The complement of workers here is 20, 25 people. It's quite a bit, but it's a big building. Because as you can see here, it's what is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 story building, and it goes all the way back to the end of the block. It's a pretty good sized building. There's a lot of room in here, and like I said, if you guys want to, because you own it, you're a part owner of this building, literally. And there's plenty of space in here. It's not being used or was used for other things that you guys can turn into apartments for yourself, or whatever, laboratory, workshop, whatever you might want. This building is kind of your headquarters away from headquarters in a way, right? So you
I
guys,
need a place to live.
and there you go. I don't know what you guys have set up in your. Of course, you have enough money to live somewhere, although Boston is ridiculously expensive. So this certainly will save you a lot of money. And to be fair, even though it's a brothel, it's a high end one. It's not sleazy at all. And Miss Bethany is excessively charming. And when you're interacting with her, Gabriel is a little standoffish, but he's kind of that kind of guy, right? But he's happy for the second chance, and he will do his best to serve you well. Mr. Doss is literally spelled to you. So you are one of his people that the loyalty is attached to. Well, Tower, I'm sure Tower will come, be part of it. But you three and these three, these other two, are the only people he is tethered to. Okay. But what that means is his loyalty dice come into play anytime he's defending you or something like that, right? Which is a major burst. That's a D12 die, right? So heaven forbid someone try to storm into this place, because Mr. Doss is going to be an absolute devastation machine. What is that? That's a 2d10 and with a d12, and depending on what he's doing, he could add another d10 to that. hmm Yep. So what is that? 1, 2, 3 d10 plus a d12. Wow, dude. Anyway, so that's how he works. Like I said, Gabriel is kind of a standoffish, mousy type of guy, but he has sworn fealty to you, and all you can do is believe him. Lady Bethany is absolutely elated. She's happy to get a second chance, and in your conversations you have with her over the next bit of time, you find out why the council has showed mercy to them, because Mr. Nix basically was forcing them to work for him. He was. And so, they're guilty, but coerced into guilt. But she's absolutely elated to be able to have a second chance. She is, perky even in it. And she's going to work even harder for you guys. And she's very thankful to you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Matter of fact, she actually takes a little bit of shine to you, GOP.
Oh,
Mm,
I guess
nice of you.
my cologne
It
is
is the clone.
working
It is the clone. It is the clone.
again.
Now you don't know her intention. Is it simply because she sees you as the boss, or not or whatever? But I'm sure you have your thoughts. But she's definitely put a shine on to you. Anyway, there's that. So you guys kind of have a base of operations now. Over That's a month, and another month passes. You guys are still doing busy work, but in that time, you guys do meet a couple of big players. One, you're finally introduced because there's a little bit of a confusion with a situation regarding ownership of a bar over in Fenway, and it's a sports bar, but there's an argument because you have one Umbral who owns the land, and there's another Umbral who owns a demon actually who owns the bar. But they're all part of the pact. Well, no, yeah, no, they are part of the pact. But there's a big disagreement, and you guys are kind of brought in strangely as muscle. You feel that's why you were there. But in that doing, you do meet another big player in Boston, and that's the BUA, or the Boston Umbral Affairs. This is not connected to Dove whatsoever. There's zero connection. And consider these guys to be kind of the union reps of all Umbrals in Boston, right? Whether they be actual Umbrals or demons or humans, anyone that is involved in Umbral affairs falls under their jurisdiction. And you can almost look at them like almost like a union rep or a council of sort. And you meet Seneschal Glowling. He's the boss of that. He's not a pleasant man.
Seneschal,
Seneschal, yes. Uh,
Seneschal.
it just means leader, right? But
Oh, okay.
he's not, like I said, he's not a pleasant man. He's very direct, but his reputation does precede him. He is fair, honest, and hardworking. But he is dogmatic, though, and you can get from this initial meeting with him that he's very suspect of Dove. He thinks you overstep your bounds all the time, and he doesn't like it. So he's not a antagonist, but he's not really a friend either. But it is an important meeting. It's the first time you've met with any of the BUA people, and of course, being in Boston, you have to interact with them, right? Dove is an international community. Beyond that, it's interdimensional, right? But this is Boston in particular. And of course, you meet some of the people around him, and specifically because he didn't say it directly, but basically he doesn't want to deal with you. So he passes you off to another person who is also not very pleasant, and this is the official liaison to Dove, and it's the first time you meeting her, and her name is Officer Jessica Donaldson. And yeah, she's not very friendly person either. She's very harsh, very glower in her personality, but she's doesn't seem to hate you though, like the other guy does. But she's the liaison. She interacts with Dove. You just haven't met her before. So you meet that in the month. You guys are starting to meet other people in the community as well. 2 months you've been doing the little busy work, and you're starting to find the world. You also North End. Now, just so you guys know, don't go to Boston and go to the North End and say, "Where's Little Italy?" Don't do that. They get mad. Yeah, yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
But the North End is Little Italy, whether they like it or not. It is Little Italy, and you end up going to the North End, and you end up meeting with. They have their own little representation up there, and you meet the North End Union, which is run by a demon, and he is a Mardian in particular, but he's a pact. He's part of the pact. He's a pact demon, and his name is Anthony Priscatelli. Of course, it is, and he is the liaison to all umbral things. Therefore, he is technically the liaison to the Dove organization. However, they're not really official, but you ended up doing. There was a murder in the North End that you guys were sent in to investigate. It was once again a kind of a domestic related murder. It wasn't hard to figure out. It was very, very simple, actually. But in doing so, you had to end up meeting with Anthony here. Very friendly guy. He invites you over to his house, whether you take it or not. If you do, his wife makes absolutely amazing bolognese.
Well, I mean, of course I'm gonna go.
Yeah. But super friendly guy, very nice. He looks like a gangster. Well, he is a gangster, but he's a union thug. But
That's right up my alley.
right up your alley. But very friendly though, and actually, in all the places you've had to work in and around Boston, which 2 months now, you did a little stuff before. Most of your stuff before was kind of outside. This is certainly the most friendly, fun place you've been. The people here are just nice, and they're fun loving, and so is Anthony. Whilst you're moving around North End, however, Tower notices something, and you guys go over, and he convinces you, talks you into going over and partaking in a little bit of food. There's a new business just opened.
Oh no, I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, there it is.
uh, Diner Express, run by a Julia Lovecraft. Lovecraft's a real name. They're actually from the region. And now she's a little bit different because you guys, especially Lady, is probably the one that does, well, and Tower, the ones that do this the more than you, GOP. But classifying the different types of peoples. She is a demon, but she's a winter court. She's part of the winter court, but she's not a vampire. She is an Ishi, which are super old. The Ishi are, it's argued, but in occult lore, but maybe the very first faction that figured out how to, formulaically create possession links, Umbra links. Super ancient group. That doesn't mean she's particularly old, but I'm just saying the Ishi are really old. And therefore, they're probably primitive compared to some of the more modern demon groups. Nevertheless, great food. It actually is super, super tasty. And for some odd reason, this very English looking lady makes the most amazing tacos ever.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
burritos we
About
were after.
burritos.
Well, we
Those
haven't
burritos.
evolved there yet. That's hundreds of years in the future.
Right. Eventually, it's when they get to like whatever century we were in, they finally evolved to burritos, like their true calling.
The most
Actually, think I had you guys
orgasmic.
3,000 years in the future, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh, yeah.
this is like the beginning of Cabbage Corp or something, if you
Well,
remember from
technically, most Spanish
Avatar.
that comes from Mexico would call a taco a burrito.
Yeah, that's probably true, but we don't
No,
need
it
to
is
get
true.
we don't need
It's
to
like
get pedantic about it. I just thought it
So
was
all right.
funny.
I just think it's great though that on an episode where Tower isn't here, we're
Right,
introducing Diner
right,
Express.
right,
We just
right.
need to get some afterburners
We do, we
and
do, we do, we do,
fire
we
them
do,
into
we do.
some place this episode. Uh
Okay.
where are we gonna
Um,
find them?
two more months pass. 4 months now since you've been back. You're still doing a
Has
lot of
the
busy
lady
work.
not been around, or she been working?
Oh no, you see her. She's still working.
Okay.
And she is interacting with you a little bit more. She's lighting up, but she's clearly upset about the situation. You still don't have any information, and to be honest, chatting with the people around is still a point of conversation, but no one else seems to have any information either what's going on in the Middle East. It's certainly way above your pay grade and it's way above your power grade. So it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. But
Right.
it's obviously going to impact things in the long run, right? But
Yeah.
what did I say? 3 months, right?
You
So
said 4, but I
oh,
would
four,
also like to point out that
four
this
months,
whole
four
time
months.
I've been hanging out at our place and hanging out with like the movers and shakers and making friends in my places and
Well,
all that.
that's what I'm going to ask you. We're sitting the four
Oh, okay.
month mark, and something big. I'm just kind of doing over. I have a set time I'm going to do. This is another
Okay.
mark of something big happens. So during that period of you guys doing busy work, you find a couple of good food places to do. You meet potential. GOP is the social guy, right? And
Right.
this guy is a potential ally. You can tell right off. This guy is all about his people and his area, but he's a good guy. He's a straight up good guy. Even though he's a gangster, he's still a good guy, right? You get that feel off of him. Of course, you have been introduced to the BUA, which they are big players. Your power technically supersedes them, but you don't want to piss them off because they can be a thorn in your side. You guys have seen now you have Director Sims instead of Agent Sims. He's in charge of the
Hmm.
enforcement division. And, whether you go over and chat with him or not, or here, the enforcement, you've heard no complaints. He seems to be doing well. Of course, you still have the old tail, which is downstairs, run by Madeline. And of course, you also have Franklin's, which is very a very popular place for all the umbrals in the city. This is not a dove place. This is an umbral say, but it's like the most popular hangout for umbrals in the city. And of course, it's run by Penelope. And during that time, whether you go here or not, you certainly learn more about the city. Therefore, you learn more about these people. Madeline, you don't know shit about her. You know she's a Marov, like Burquest is, and she's a pack member, but that's about it. She's not a demon though. However, the princess here, Penelope, you learn a lot about her because everybody knows who she is. She is not only a vampire, which you already knew. She's a vampire of the Winter Court, which most of them are, either directly in the Winter Court or affiliated, especially with vampires. But she is a princess. She's literally a Winter Court princess. For some
Right.
reason owning a little live house, nightclub called Franklin's. You don't even know why it's called Franklin's. But yeah, that's different. Also, a lot of times with the vampires, you guys have noticed in this 4 months, uh, for some reason they tend not to use or well, they must have them, but they don't use surnames. They tend to just have a given name. It's probably not their original name, but they tend to do that for some reason, right? You're not sure what the lore or the reason behind that is, but you've just kind of noticed that. And in the vampires you've had to interact with, are they only have a single name. But like I said, the Winter Court is not part of the pact, but they do have a treaty with the pact, and they are on good terms. And that treaty is volatile. It's had its ups and downs over the past 200 years, but they are. There is a treaty, and in this city, the three major players are the Dove. You guys are a very powerful organization. Not necessarily all of you, although you do have Ninma in Boston, all of you, but it's for the power that can be brought in by Dove, right? The Umbral Affairs, the BUA, they are major player, and the Winter Court, right? And of course the Pact as well. They are the overall most powerful in the worldwide, most places. Anyway, you met that. I had a little thing for Tower, but you do have. I have to wait for him to come, so I'll just wait for that. But yeah, I'll just wait for that when he comes in. So is that everything? That's everything. All right. Now, during that 4 months, and especially 2 months since the gaining ownership of Orchard Street, 7 Orchard Street, what do you guys are doing other than your job? GOP.
Oh, and I would have what's his name again? The guy in the I didn't write it down. The guy in the guy, the kind of gangsterish guy,
Oh yeah, no,
uh
no, yeah, 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 yeah. You know, he is a. You don't have to do anything with it, but he is a potential ally, a
Antonio.
potential contact. Anthony Priscatelli.
well,
Antonio.
I kind of tested the waters, but I did take a few of those cards from the from our establishment. If I find someone who maybe I want to get
Invite
closer to
over.
the thing. Yeah, so I gave him one of those cards the lady gave me. As I'm like I test the waters first, make sure
Oh,
he's
okay. Oh,
he's
all right.
he's not going to be weird about that. But yeah,
So,
I'm gonna
are
like
where do you
as a
do it?
gesture
Where do you do it when you're having the
when we're
conversation?
like yeah when we're like talking with him, it's like hey I own an establishment kind of thing, and you're you're always welcome. You seem like a good guy, kind of thing. But I'm like I said, I'm testing the waters with him, making sure he's not too, actually goody two shoes that he'd be
It
against
is it a
or
what is it, a
assaulted.
free ride ticket?
It's a free. It's a free
Okay.
night.
Free night, and so just in a conversation with him, like at a cafe or something like that, because he frequents cafes a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there having some espresso, and you hand it over.
Oh my, you just made a oh, you're in trouble when his wife finds out. I wouldn't want to be you.
Well, that's why I
Well,
asked
you
him.
know what?
That's why I asked him where, right?
Yeah, where
Yeah,
were
yeah,
you?
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
But
I'm not gonna do it in front of his wife,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm just
Um,
leaving the offer on the table if he wants it.
he
That's all.
says, "Oh, Orchard, I haven't been over there in a long time. Yeah, yeah, it's a good place. Still got Bethany over there.
Yeah, we're kind of the new owners of the establishment, but
You
she's
own
still
that.
working over there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I heard that place got busted. That Jagoff Nicks.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was us.
Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. A little bit of perk. You know, that's how they pay things. You know, that's good for you. Good for you. Yeah, no, I'll bring my boys over and you know, we'll patronize you.
Happy to have you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that patronize.
And he gives a chuckle and he says, "Hey, you still got Linda over there?
I would have probably met the girls at this
You
point,
have.
so would I know?
There is a Linda. You don't know if it's his Linda, and she is a smokehouse, dude. Whew.
Well, I don't know if it's your Linda, but we do have a Linda.
Oh well, I would certainly appreciate a little bit of reservation. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, anything for you, my friend.
As long as I wasn't here for this conversation.
That is exactly how that would go, though. That is
Yeah,
exactly
exactly.
how that would go. Anyway, but yeah, he's a cool guy, and he does. He brings his, he does give his ticket because you were nice enough to give it to him, but he brings like 20 dudes,
They all
right?
get a free pass.
And that's a big money night for you guys. They spend money,
Yep.
right? Not only are they kind of just using the various services, but they're buying like bottles of Cristal, and it's actually maybe one of the funnest nights you've seen if you were there. You guys probably don't I don't know what you do, how much time you spend in there, but he's coming over, so I'm assuming GOP you made sure you were present, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely great time. The girls love it. There's lots of laughter, it's just fun. It's fun. A lot of people have this weird image of brothels. Most of the things
Mhm.
that go on in brothels are laughing, joking, and drinking. That's the majority of things that go on in a brothel, actually. But it's a great night, and like I said, he's potential contact, and occasionally I will drop contacts on you, but this is a purchasable. You say that word for me. Purchasable. Thank you.
Purchasable?
Yeah, purchasable. Why can't I say that? This is a purchasable contact for you guys. Well, I guess for GOP, particularly, if you want. But okay, is there anything else you want to do in that 2 months?
Mm, not a whole lot that I can think of on my end. I mean, lady, I've been kind of doing most of this stuff. What do you want to do with your character?
Well, I asked her first last time. I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, it was your turn to go first.
Yeah,
Okay, fair enough. Oh, and you mentioned something about how we could reinvest into our business.
sure, of course. Yeah.
How much would that cost us, and
Well,
what
it
sort of
depends on
like?
what you want to do.
Um, we could expand the gambling section because gambling is
Sure,
easy.
it's allowed. You guys are licensed for it. Now, keep in mind, licensed, umbrally licensed. But you also have come to understand that there are points where the mortal authority and the umbral authority will butt heads. But in general, they agree to just stay out of each other's way. You know right well that there are plenty of people in the government and the police department who know exactly everything about you. They do,
Oh
but
yeah, that's why I'm making friends.
that's right. But in general, they just kind of leave each other alone for the most part, and therefore licensed. Don't piss any cops off was what I'm kind of saying, because they could
Yeah,
be dicks to you if they really wanted to be. But it is licensed as far as the pact is concerned, because it's all about pact law, right? And But you guys are licensed for prostitution and gambling. There were things going on with like a little drug den kind of in the back basement area. That is not licensed because of the clientele. They were able to get away with it, but it's really frowned upon. You know,
yeah.
the pack doesn't care for drugs much. They're kind of anti-drugs.
Hmm.
So it's
Well,
up to
yeah.
you. You could probably get
Could
away
there
with it.
not be a way to substitute the drugs with
Sure.
some kind of hypnotic thing and
Yeah,
just like,
you've
it's not real drugs, but it gives
you've
them the feeling for it?
you've never been to a nightclub in your life, have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there isn't. But that's okay. You don't need it. It's not the way this is set up anyway. It was just some little side business that Nix was trying to make money on. This thing produces plenty enough money as it is. Everyone's getting paid. All the girls get paid really well here. They take 50% of the take. 50%.
Hmm.
As you should be, to be fair.
And it's gotta be split among all of them though, all the girls.
No, no, no. They take 50% of their subcontractors.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So everybody's making money. Now you can always make more money. And GOP, your idea of expanding the gambling aspect, that's not a bad idea, because that's an area where it's just kind of small. They have like literally right now. And keep in mind, there's a lot of this building. What am I doing this picture? Let me bring it back over where we should be. This building has a lot of space that didn't be used. Like I said, you could set up your own personal apartments here, nice size ones too for Boston. You could build workshops. You could do all kind of stuff. But because most of it's not being used, all that's really being used is the top floor and this
Yeah.
and this well I mean the top glass floor, not that fancy dome over there. That's more of a thing. There is space behind
Mm,
it though, and then the floor below it. So you see these ones that have the little kind of extruding windows that are coming up here in the toward the top here. This is all that's being used. This top floor with that nice skylight coming in is where the main lounge is. There's some cooking areas and stuff in the back, and there stuff like that. This area right all here are the girls' area. which it's the brothel area where this is where their rooms are. And they do have an interesting setup with that. This floor, right? Can you see my mouse?
No, I can't. But I mean,
Uh,
you did also mention when we first encountered this place that there's
there,
actually when you go up the elevator, there's actually an extra floor
yeah,
because because it was like one more than the actual outside of the building. You know,
that's
because it's
true
like
because of
magical.
the way it's built, right? But anyway, that the what would be actually the third floor, because it's actually a six-story building. Even though it looks like a five-story, it's actually six-story. But the third floor, like a little corner in the back, they had like two tables, and nothing is being used on that floor other than that. The first and second floor are empty. So, they're not being used at all. So you have lots of space you could expand and do stuff. It's mainly the top three floors that are being utilized. Like I said, the fourth floor is the girls' floor. You probably don't want to mess with that unless you want to throw some money and just simply. Actually, it's really beautiful inside. This place has been well kept. There's not much you have to do with as far as upkeep. This is not a dive that you're trying to turn into something nice. It is nice already. But the gambling, that entire third floor, you could turn into gambling if you wanted. Shit, second and third, you could do if you wanted. But
because
how
we got a
much would
place
that
for us to
cost?
live.
I mean, I definitely want to get an apartment in this place because it saved me a lot of money as
It
Yeah,
save
opposed
you
to
a whole bunch of
wherever.
money. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they can feed you too. You don't have
and
to buy food.
and the apartment aspects of it, you could put anywhere. Although probably it would be the sixth floor, because the sixth floor, you have because you have Mr. Doss is living in he's actually there's a basement level, right? He actually lives down there. And he's actually got a nice little setup. If you guys go check it up, for him, he's super happy with that. But also in the basement level, other than half of it being storage, the other half is split between Mr. Doss and Gabriel, and they both have, and it's not like they've been thrown in the basement. They're quite nice. It's very nice living apartments. So these two are in the basement. And the basement is kind of done now because there's storage area in these two. You could arrange it if you wanted. Miss Bethany lives on the top floor, the sixth floor, and she's got a nice little skylight apartment. But the majority of that floor is unused. I mean, I would assume that's probably where you put your apartment, but you can put it anywhere you want. That's what I mean. This place is potential. That's why I gave it to you.
yeah. No, I'll go on the top floor. Why not? That'll keep me kind of close to the action, you know. So yeah,
True, true, true. Because the top floor is only three-quarters of a floor, right? The front part of the sixth floor is that big skylight coming into the lounge area, which is nice. It's a nice touch, right? But still, like I said, this thing goes all the way across the block. This is an entire block long building, right? It's quite big. As far as upgrading the gambling, well, you got to think about it. How much do those things cost? If you want to put in full, gambling den, that's $1.5 million, $2 million.
yeah. We
Money.
don't have that kind of money on us right now.
You guys can do things to make money if you're interested in that. Keep in mind, this is not like the FBI, right?
Yeah, we can. I
I
mean,
do have
because
one suggestion to our accountant. Why can't we start a phone call service? Video cam with sexy women on their off time if they want to make extra money.
They already do that, he says.
Oh, they already do that. Well, okay, never mind.
But
That wasn't
that's
my
but
idea.
that's none of our business. Meaning the girls do it themselves.
Okay.
yeah.
We're not all Andrew Tate here. Sorry.
Oh man, running those little yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, but to be
Um.
fair, I don't know what people give him so much trouble for. Those girls are making money too, right?
Oh
It's
no,
a
no, no. Yeah, it's
business.
not
Yeah.
the. Yeah, no, I get that. Like, I think it's just like some of the stuff he said is like pretty scammy, you know. But
He
uh,
is, because he's a scammer. That's what he is. He's
yeah,
a con man.
yeah,
You know.
But yeah, I'm just I might want to pick the accountant's brain and see what ideas he has, like like he himself, like on what he thinks are, and also Miss Bethany on ways that they think we can improve
Mhm.
uh profitability. You know,
Sure,
because I would
she's shrewd.
assume, yeah, I would assume Nick's or Mister Paul's or whatever,
Yeah,
but
Mr.
I would
Paul.
assume uh he was probably one of those. He seems like one of those people maybe who was more like interested in his own thing, and might not have been as attentive as a character like mine would be about like the individual things that might make money. So
It's
I don't.
just
I
one
don't
of his many endeavors. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
And Gabriel laments that, and he's very happy that you're interested. Actually, there is a huge problem though. As far as not a problem, but it is a restraint. All of the profits from this were taken. They were seized. So although it's completely the deed is in your name, and everything is operating and it's making money, it didn't miss a beat in that regard. You don't have the sustain that you had before. That was there, the potential, right? It's gone.
The war
Uh,
chest is
the war
yeah.
chest, right?
Right.
It's gone.
Okay.
However, as with any business, everybody gets paid, and then whatever's left, 50% goes to the business for future endeavors, 50% goes to you. So
Mhm.
so basically, you're looking at right now around $150,000 a year of that kind of war chest money is what you're looking at right now. If you're able to expand, you could make a ton of money in this place because it's licensed. It's old world licensed, which even floats over to the police to a point, the human police, right?
Ooh, I was thinking we don't have the money on hand, but with all the rich people that we're getting involved with, I bet you we might be able to find some investors.
Maybe. And
Let's
look at I'm floating on Bethany's page for a reason. Do you look at her
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
CVs?
Yeah, I know. She's very good at contracts or
Yes,
contacts, not
contacts.
contracts.
Yes, but I
Yes.
mean, because keep in mind, they're only one of them is thralled to you, literally, quite magically thralled to you. He literally is magically thralled to you. But the other two are indebted to you. Especially, he's not exuberant about anything, but she is very exuberant, and she because she loves her job. It's just plain and simple. You've been here 2 months now, and she's certainly taken a shine to you. And whether your character's interested or not is up to you. But it's not superficial. However, she loves doing what she does. She's very protective of the girls. She loves schmoozing with people and talking. She's 100% into it, right? She likes this. She's happy with her life, and you can tell from little comments that even Mr. Doss have made. They're very happy to no longer be under the employ of Mr. Nix because you guys aren't assholes to him,
Hmm.
right? And especially with you, you're interested in expanding the business. They're all interested in this, because who knows what Gabriel will do after the 10-year probation. But Doss ain't going nowhere, and she don't want to go anywhere. She's
Yeah,
very happy doing what she's doing. So you think about that. You can try to make some inroads into contacts and stuff like that. So you think about that for a minute, and I'll go over to the lady. Now, like I said, this is really an upkeep type of episode, but these are fun too, right? I like these. Do you guys enjoy this kind of these kind
I
of
do.
episodes? Yeah.
It,
if
yeah,
you could
it's
have enough
definitely.
time to think about something like this. But that was my thing. But you're saying that the girls are already doing the phone sex thing.
It's
So
not a bad idea, and you could try to. It's up to you, lady. You could try to enforce your will because they are doing it on property. Technically, they all pay for their own internet and all that kind of stuff.
well,
But
I
you could
could.
enforce your will and demand a percentage of it. You could try that. You could go the Tate route.
No, I'm not going to enforce my will on that since they pay for their own internet and they keep their hours that they're here.
Yeah.
When they're here, they work. When they're in their own room, room. They're doing their own things, you know. Well,
Right. Yeah,
technically,
no,
you know what I mean.
well, and
On
the
their
way.
time off, it's their time.
Right, because you have 15 girls here, which is what you have right now, and those 15 girls are only taking up half of that floor, so you could double up that. And their apartments are set up quite interestingly. There's an entry, almost like a foyer, really, into their apartments, but it's set up as a bedroom because that's what they do, and they're quite lavish, and a lot of the girls put their own taste into it, so they have their own themes and stuff. But beyond that, there's a door, a locked door, which goes into their actual apartment, which is a full-on apartment with their own bedroom and everything like that. So that's how it's set up. And
Okay.
like I said, over the past 2 months, because you guys are new to this, and you don't even have to pay any attention at all. Really, this is really a perk that was given to you. But GOP is clearly interested, and you seem to be interested as well. But you do get a couple of new girls come in to try out, and Bethany, she's an optimistic person, but she's very realistic as well. She's pragmatic, and she's like, yeah, only about 10% that ended up staying in this business. They don't. You have to have a certain mindset, right? But all the
Right.
girls who are your full timers, as it were, they love their job. I don't know if you guys ever met a lot of prostitutes. I have because I was a bouncer in
Mhm.
strip clubs. I've met a lot of prostitutes in my life, and most of them love their job. They love it. They're free. They're not bind to anyone. They make really good money, and most of them are nymphomaniacs anyway. But nevertheless, this place is
I was
healthy.
concerned because of their last owner. I'm concerned more of their mental health. So, like, make
Okay.
sure that they're all taken care of that way.
Well, no, that's a good point. So you can go around and interview and talk to the working girls. Now, keep in mind there are
Not
servers
just the
here.
working girls, but the other
Yeah,
people that
right,
work there
right.
in the kitchen and everything.
The kitchen workers, the servers, the few handful of people that worked in the little gambling area, and some of the security. Although you don't need much more than Mr. Doss, really. There are a
That's
few
true.
others because he's not particularly smart. But none of them live here.
I'm
They
not going
all
to
work
everything
here,
candy.
so they come to work every
Uh-huh.
day, right? The
Okay.
girls are the only and these three are the only ones that live here. As far as the 15, like I said, that number fluctuates, but it's a solid 15, right? The other half
But
of the
we can
building,
we got room for more though.
you do have room for another 15, and that usually two or three or four of those in this past 2 months of those rooms are filled with girls that are new, or but they're flaky, right? But those 15
Yeah.
are solid. They love their job there, and they live and work here, and they make really good money. Mentally, after you're interacting and talking with them, none of them like Mr. Nix because he would just liberally take their services, not pay for it, of course. And he was not the nicest guy in that regard. So they're very happy they don't have to deal with Mr. Nix. That everyone's happy about that. Luckily, he wasn't here all the time, but when he was here, everyone was in a bad mood because most of the clientele are, like I said, doctors, lawyers, politicians, police. They're kind of upper blue collar, white collar people, right? And they're not
Mhm.
violent individuals at all, right? Matter of fact, they're quite respectful. But nevertheless, so these are working girls, so they're not sensitive, but they're very happy Mr. Nix isn't here.
Okay.
Um, Contacts GOP. There. How much time? I guess the question I'd ask both of you. In your free, because you guys work 9 to 5. I mean, basically, unless you get a call, right? You guys are not part of the enforcement division. Those guys, they have shifts 24 hours a day, right? But you're detectives, is what you are. So you work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I mean, like any other job, unless there's some situation. And you're not the only agents in the verification side of a Dove anyway. There are others. The more veteran groups are they are leaving Boston and going out into the because this center you guys are in here, the Boston Dove headquarters. It does service quite a large area. Um, it covers all of New England, not New York, but all of New England, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. It covers all of that, right? The Quebecers are Quebecers, and we won't talk about them.
Yeah.
But we shan't talk about them. And the next big one over, other than New York, which is only New York, right? They only cover New York because it's ridiculously sized city. Chicago is another major point that controls a huge chunk of land, bigger than yours actually. But the veteran agents are going out to the greater Boston office controlled area. You guys aren't. This past 2 months, 4 months, sorry, you've be exclusively in Boston, but you've learned a lot. You've met a lot of people. You're starting to see how the city works, which is kind of important. As far as contacts go, you get all those kind of white collar dudes come into the brothel. Is there anyone in particular you're curious of kind of type of person you're curious of trying to talk to? GOP? Oh no, sorry. Let me finish my question. Question was, during that 2 month period, how much time do you actually spend in 7 Orchard Street? You could
Spend a
change that.
good ch-
You spend a lot
a
of
good
time, free time.
because I'm trying to build up contacts with people.
I know
So
you are.
like I'll spend time here, or if like let's say one of my contacts has some sort of event, so I can meet more people and try and increase the clientele and all that stuff.
Okay.
I'll go to other things I might get invited to,
Okay.
but yeah.
So the past 4 months you've been schmoozing and using your character's abilities, which of course you are. We'll say during that 4 month period you've been able to make 2 free contacts.
All right.
So I would write them down and just detail them. And keep in mind, it's not the mayor, it's not the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business. It's not that yet. They're kind of a more mid-tier, white-collar type of person. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to because like during that time too, I was trying to find like anyone who enjoys the gambling side of our business too much and maybe likes to spend a bit too much money. I'm trying to figure out people who
Sure.
I can get to be investors, but aren't going to be the most savvy
Well,
people.
like a small business owners, some maybe bosses of a little bit bigger businesses, lawyers, doctors for damn sure. Like I said, he is purchasable, and that would fall under this category. So, this fella right here, where is he
Okay.
here? Sorry, just
And
give me a
a
second.
northern
Yeah,
person.
the
Yeah,
North
northern
End
one.
Union, Anthony Priscatelli. Like I said, he's purchasable, so you could choose him as one of your free if you want, or someone
Yeah, I'll
else.
take him.
Yeah,
He seems like a good contact.
he is a good contact, and he's fairly powerful one in the North End. And it's not like they don't have a little influence. Little Italy in Boston, like I said, don't call them that. They don't like it. But Little Italy in Boston or on the North End does have quite a bit of influence. There's a lot of money there. It's not like Brookline, but it's not a bad contact at all. So these
Yeah.
contacts come in as a D6. Lady, during that same time, what is it this past 2 months, other than checking on the girls and stuff, which they appreciate, by the way. Is there any kind of context you would like to take? Now, keep in mind, automatically, those three at the Orchard, Bethany, Doss, and Gabriel, there's automatically contacts. You can write them down. Actually, Doss isn't a contact; he's the thrall. You can write on your character sheet. But
Okay.
Gabriel and Bethany are automatic contacts for you, obviously. They're at your mercy in a way. But but during that 2 months, other than interacting with the girls and make sure everyone's happy and healthy and mentally, is there anything else you want to do?
If there's a way to find small tech companies
Hmm.
that are on the created edge of creating some really good tech, other than the guys at the office.
Where would you find that in Boston? I
I don't
mean,
know.
come on.
Yeah, the everywhere.
Everywhere.
Well, I know a lot of people
There's
don't really.
Harvard, isn't there?
Well, no, God, fuck Harvard, Boston Dynamics, MIT.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna be hanging around those places for a while.
yeah. No, Boston.
Get a couple
People.
of professors to come in. I'll take the little card with them. Yeah.
Oh, as far into the orchard,
Well, not
uh,
yet. Not
I'm sure some
yeah.
come. Yeah, I mean, it is mainly Umbral. And understand that I'm using this word in
Yeah,
two
that's true.
ways in this game. You have people
Oh,
that
yeah.
are classified as Umbral, you guys, right?
Mhm.
You're living, but you have a some connection to the Umbra. But I'm also talking about everybody who's not human, right? But
Right.
so the
But
orchard,
that's what I'm looking for is people who aren't human
yes, I
at
understand.
these
Um,
levels.
but understand that the people that run the city are Umbrals anyway, right?
I've
The
been there too.
the mundanes just don't know, right?
Yeah.
Most of the clientele, occasionally you'll get an actual human come in, usually brought in by someone else, which no one cares. It's not a big deal, right? But sure, you're communicating with people. As a matter of fact, you are communicating, and there's a guy over at Boston Dynamics. His name is Doug Jones. And Doug Jones is one of their top techs. He's not the owner or the boss, but he is a top tech. And he loves chatting with you about technology and stuff. He's super smart. He's an MIT graduate, as most of them are. But you can take Doug Jones, Boston Dynamics, as a contact if you'd like.
Boston Dynamics.
Mhm. And you might want to, in for future referencing, lady, you might want to put some of your experience into bumping up your intelligence, your mental, because
Yeah.
it's above average, but it's not where you should be. So your character is a person who really likes tech and wants to be techie, but you're not quite there. But that's all right. You can grow into it, right? But you might want to think about
Gotta get the experience for
no,
it.
no, that's right. Might want to put some experience into upping your intelligence, and of course that's covered in the milestones area quite clearly.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else before I move on?
Let's see, there was something else.
Okay,
Um, gonna ask Bethany.
sure.
You know, she was raised by the DOJ. She was kidnapped when she was 9. She doesn't really know how to be sensual,
Oh, feminine. Yeah. I see. Well, not you
her
are.
specialty.
Your cover is DOJ. You were raised by the Dove Agency, or just the Pact. You can just use the word the Pact. You guys are or were
Yeah, but you
adopted by the Pact.
indicated it was more like a military boot type of thing.
Yeah, no, it
So it's
was
like,
for you particularly. These guys are older. You were a kid, so it's a
yeah,
different thing. And Bethany, she chuckles and she's very happy. Like I said, this is a very friendly, nice lady, and she just happens to be a brothel madam, right? And she talks to you about it. She gives you pointers. And she's very enthusiastic about helping you out. There's several nights because you're living in the place too, because it really is saving you a lot of money. Boston is, you guys don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
understand
I'm gonna take a,
how
a big
expensive it
place.
is. I mean, you can get a kind of a normal size of apartment in Boston and pay 2 grand a month.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just something small. It's insane. So it's a huge savings to stay in this place. And she takes you over after hours or on a day because they do have day off. They don't work. This place is closed Monday through Wednesday, by the way. It's only open Thursday through Sunday. The 3 days a week it's off. And of course, you could change that if you want, but that's where how it was operating before. But one of those days, a couple of those days off, she takes you over to the girls, and you guys have conversations, and they like have, they make you up, and they put you in clothing, and they teach you how to walk, and
Oh
they,
my god.
you know, well, that's
Okay.
you asked for it.
What you wanted. Yep, this is what you wanted.
That's what you got. That's what girls
Uh
do.
huh.
Yeah.
David, please ignore all this.
No, because
Yeah, but you got to
have
think
you?
of it psychologically. It's just like she has a fear of fire because that's how her parents died.
No, no, it
She
makes
was
sense.
there when,
But I mean,
yeah.
have you never met a girl before, lady?
Well, yeah, but
Mm.
it's always been rough and tough type of thing.
That's true.
I guess
That
she
is
was a
true. No,
tomboy.
she is. No, no, you're right. She was raised in a different way. But of course, they're very happy to help you with that, and you do learn. So if you wanted to take, like, for instance, with experience spending, because all these things are moving toward things you could spend experience on, right? Because we are doing
I
that
know
learning
something we're
mechanic.
not going to be spending experience on.
But
So,
you could pick up things like seduction. You could take a skill like appeal or whatever it is in the skill list. I don't have it memorized, but you could name something anything you want. Although it's good to be rather vague so it covers multiple areas. But you could
You
take
could
those
just increase your influence
or
because
just
that's essentially.
influence. Yeah, influence. There you go. So anything else you want to do, GOP, during that time?
Um, Not much else I can think of at the moment, just because like I was, I'm basically just building up my contacts, and eventually, although it's probably too early for me to do it, but eventually I am going to like try and do like a proper business arrangement with certain people to like get investors, because like I said, I don't have the money
You
to do
should.
it myself.
No, you should.
Yeah.
You should.
So
And
that's
yeah.
yeah.
But you also take in mind, like with the crafting thing you mentioned earlier and other things, you are free agents in regards to, you know, doing things outside the agency, right? You could try to create other businesses, try to create other revenues. You can do that. That's part of role playing, dude. It's part of tabletop gaming, right? Now, I'm not being anywhere near as pedantic with the numbers as I did in the last game, but in the last game, that was a mechanic we were using. I think it was kind of fun, right? But we're not doing
mm,
that here. This is much more freeform. It's more of like a dice number representation, right? Which you guys are probably sitting, I guess, for wealth, you're probably sitting on like a D8, right? As we speak, or D6 most of the time with occasional, D8 opportunities, we'll say. But anyway, so good. Let's move on. So 4 month point. You guys have been busy doing your jobs, and like I said, it's kind of boring. It's not very interesting. It's a lot of that little busy work that detectives do in a city all the time, right? Just little things, right? Shoplifting, domestic stuff, occasional, murder, or it's just little things, right? But you're also having the orchard to deal with. But during that period, um, there are two very well. It's one event takes place that is extremely important, and the world at large has no clue. Only the Umbral world knows what's going on with this. Like I said, there's not a lot of information coming out of the Middle East other than chaos is ensuing, right? That's about all you have. You guys are nowhere near it, and there's no way anyone's going to send you in there because that is a deadly situation going on. However, uh, an event takes place, and it's a very big one. It's a big one. Matter of fact, it's one of those things that you know most people don't see in their lifetime, right? It happens in New York first. 4 months in, right? It happens in New York first. And you all hear about it, and you guys get information, and of course, video and pictures are sent, but to you. The mortal world isn't aware. Um, and and magi arrives in New York City. An angel is sent down. Her name is Ingel. And she is information comes up quite quickly. She presents herself to the authority in New York City, and she proclaims she is now the Sentinel of New York. And the information you do have on her, particularly, she is from Bastion Abraxas, which Bastion Abraxas is. There are bastions in the Umbra, which are connected directly to the Ascended Realm, right? And they take their orders from there. And these are all source-based powerhouses. And like I said, the world today calls them the magi, but they're effectively angels. She arrives in New York City, and it's big news because, sure, the magi are here or there or seen. They do exist on Earth, but they don't make a big presence of themselves because these are major powerhouses, right? But she arrives in splendor and announces herself as Sentinel of New York. 3 days later, Boston drops. All over the world, the major cities are seeing powerful magi arrive and declare themselves sentinels of those major cities. Um, this is unheard of. This is unheard of. I mean, no, the lore masters and stuff can't find any reference to this ever happening before. You literally have hundreds of magi have just dropped down on Earth. It's
Like
serious.
public view and everything?
No, of course not. Of course not.
Okay, I
The
was
public is completely the mundanes are completely unaware of any of this, dude. Well, not all of them, but the average person has no clue. But your world is shaking, dude. To have hundreds of magi drop on that's what? Dude, a single magi more than likely could take out the entire Dove agency in Boston. One of them, right? By themselves. They're ridiculously powerful. And of course, a big thing is they're one of their inbred abilities is to suppress umbral energy, which
Yeah.
that's a big deal, right? But here in Boston, the proclaimed Sentinel of Boston. Although, because you have videos and information and stuff that you can see regarding the New York well, Ingle, she is braggadocious. She's gregarious to the extreme. Alora is the one that comes to Boston, and once again, most of these magi's are named and known, right? They're kind of known characters. Alora is much more reserved and quiet, but she's nowhere near as much braggadocio as Ingil has. But now this one particularly is kind of interesting because the Ingil here is from the Bastion Abraxas, right? Which is a powerful one. It is powerful, but for some reason, New York got a Golden Throne Magi, which is the top tier. There's nothing higher than a
Boston did. Yeah.
yeah, no, these are from the ascended directly. These are not ascended. They're actually like you. They're tethered mortals. They're living people, although they're most of them that you would see are centuries old. But the difference with them is they are source tethered, and the knowledge of how to do that is very secretly kept, and that they're just so much more powerful. But Alora drops, and you guys actually 5 days after she drops into Boston, and everybody's talking about it, the entire Dove agency arranges in the mission control room, and she comes and makes an audience to you. She's very soft spoken. She seems to be quite nice. She's not arrogant or noisy, but she doesn't really tell you anything either. She says a bunch of stuff without saying anything. Quite the politician. But the basic information is this: she is here to protect Boston, and she will give her life for it, and that's all. and you go around and you try to glean information from other people. Who is she? What's she doing? What's the rupper? Why is this happening? Etc. Etc. Nobody knows, or at least they're not telling you. With Ninma and Burquest, they probably know something, but they're not telling anybody. But this is a huge, huge event. So Boston literally has a sentinel in it. Now, she doesn't interfere because another 2 months pass. 6 months now. You guys have been doing busy work in Boston. Doing your job really. And she doesn't interfere with you guys at all. Matter of fact, you never, hardly ever see her. You maybe twice during the next 2 months, she actually walks in, and it seems to be that she has her official attire, which you see right here, and then she has her kind of mundane attire, which is just like normal clothes. You don't know it's a uniform. You don't know what the deal is, but it is striking in how she so differently dresses when she's being official and unofficial. But she did come into Dove agencies twice in the past 2 months to talk to Ninma mainly. But anyway, that happens. And like I said, there's hundreds of them drop, but I put in these two only because, one, you're in Boston and you guys have a very close connection to New York, obviously. But anyway, over the past 2 months, next 2 months, you guys are doing your thing and going along. There's still not a lot of information, although the Sentinels have dropped. But then we come toward the end of the month, and you guys make one other very important meeting. And this one happens in Chinatown. Now, Chinatown is a real place. It's in the center of Boston, just south of it. And they don't mind you calling it Chinatown. Matter of fact, they probably prefer you do. But you meet the bosses there because there's always a new drug, right? And there's a new drug that's using illegal virgin blood or something like that. I don't know, some illegal substance making the drug, and you guys are doing a little investigation in cooperation with the police, by the way. And you guys make a big bust, and therefore you're called for an audience to the Chinatown ruling Umbral group. And you've heard of them before. They're kind of irritating because they're very aloof and they seem not want to interact with anyone, but they do follow the rules per se. But you do meet the Radiant Court, and you actually meet with their prince, uh, 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 Prince Chin. And he is he's a prince of the Radiant Court, and he is a Lung type demon, which Lung just means dragon, by the way, in Chinese. But you do meet with this guy. He's very cold. He has no emotion. He doesn't want to be in the meeting, but he has to be, so he does. But and they are helpful though, because they're probably the ones who are running the drugs, but they can't admit that. But you do meet the Radiant Court finally, and that is the last major player group in the city. There are little fraction, little gangs, little things, of course, but these are the big bangers, right? You got the North End, you got the Radiant, you got the Umbrella Affairs group, Boston Umbrella Affairs group, and of course you have Pact. You have not interacted with the Winter Court yet, though, other than Penelope. Anyway, and then at the last little bit I'm going to put in before I let you guys decide what you want to do. It's 6 months, and a lot of noise starts coming out of the Umbra world, and you guys get contacted by your contacts. So, lady, your turn to go first. Who contacts you? They got information. There's because you guys are agents, right? You're Dove agents. You're the authority. Therefore, a lot of people aren't going to talk to you directly about things, right? Because you're the cops, right? But you do have contacts. We've established them. and you have a contact that's heard some rumbling, and really thinks you need to know. So, lady, who gives you a call?
Who gives a call?
Yeah, who?
Looking through
Which are
my con.
your yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Lady?
I'm thinking about William Perkins. Willie
Willem
Miller,
Perkins, the guy who is in the
but he's in a
Bastion of
different place.
Shiloh, who's nowhere near Earth at all.
Yeah, but he's watching
He is.
through
He is. Okay.
various ways. He may see
Okay.
things that
Okay. Okay.
don't.
All right. All right. I will. You're right. I'll go with that. You get a private dark web link contact show up in your email.
Okay,
I,
use a secure a server thing
Sure.
where
Sure.
it
Yeah,
won't.
whatever that is. Yeah, we
you
don't
have
know.
Tor you have Tor installed in your
Yeah,
computer.
yeah,
You're all good.
you have Onion. You're using the Onion. Is that what it's called? Onion? Yeah. But
I
anyway,
think it's called Tor. But yeah.
Tor. Okay. But you go to the link and he pops up and he says, "Hey, how you doing? Is everything over there okay over there in Boston? What's happening?"
Angels are falling from the sky.
Yeah, well, no, I'm
Words are
talking. That
reading.
was 2 months ago. That was awesome. Wow, I've never actually seen that many magi. You occasionally you see one, right? But that many, just to
Yeah,
I didn't even know there were that many. But he's a bit chatty guy like that. But he
yeah.
says, no, no, I'm talking about like today.
Okay, I haven't heard. What have you heard?
Yeah, you haven't heard a clue. What have you heard? He says, well, GOP, who contacts you?
Anthony, my main man.
Of course.
Okay, so I will. Let's do this. He's like, hey, how you doing? What's your name here? Character's name again?
Name
You guys jump.
Xander Lyon.
Xander.
Xander,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right, Xander. Yeah. He says, hey, Xander, how you doing?
Hey Anthony, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing. You know, you got to come over. My wife has got a new fettuccine Alfredo. You should go to that restaurant in Italy, by the way. It's pretty good. There's a real place called Alfredo's. But she got a new recipe she wants to try out. So I ain't doing that shit alone. You know what I mean? You
Oh,
know.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I'll be
Uh,
over there as soon as you want me.
all
I am
right. Well,
yours.
yeah, that'd be tomorrow night. I'll set it up. I'll set it. But yeah, yeah. Well, I just wanted to give you a little bit of heads up. Not everybody wants to kind of give information to the man that you are. However, have you heard the news?
Now, what news would that be?
Well, and William is talking to you at similar time, and he's like, "Well, you didn't hear? You didn't? God, this is it could be really important because I've heard everyone's talking that there's been many sightings and confirmed eyewitnesses. Baron Setagir is in Boston. Yeah, that vampire guy, you know, the big one, works for Rowe. Baron Setagir. He's
Oh, I've
here.
seen that guy.
Oh
I've
yeah,
seen that guy before. Yeah, he's a real piece of work.
yeah. No, he is. You don't want to mess with that guy. But one of my boys, old Patty, one of the Irish boys, uh, he saw him with his own eyes. This ain't good. This ain't good for business.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, we got to do something about it. I mean, I got to do something about it clearly because I mean, this guy, he's bad news.
He is. He is. And Willem is like, "Are you safe in Boston?" Now, you
Probably not.
guys, you know, you don't have super high occult numbers, although maybe you do. You might have got. I think you're leveled up. What's your occult right now, GOP?
My occult is, I believe, I increased it up to a D8.
D8. Lady, what's your occult?
Same.
Okay. All right. So it's enough for you to know. And of course, this guy particularly, you probably would have looked into him because he was in your face. And then
Yeah.
he wasn't in your face because Leninmo got at him. But she couldn't handle him, dude. He bloodied her. And you know she's badass, right? But he bloodied her. Didn't defeat her though. And therefore, you went and did a little investigation into. I would assume you would have checked out who was this dude who, almost killed you. But Baron Sediger he works for the Lords of Stygia, and Stygia is simply an area in the Mortal Vale that is controlled by a particular archduke named Rull, right? There are many, particularly 9 regions inside of the Vale that are controlled by these so-called archduke demons. There are many other areas. The Vale is huge, right? But he works. He is the lackey, the hound of Rull. He's well known throughout the occult world, and he's ridiculously powerful vampire type demon. So this guy actually spends most of his time on Earth, being a vampire type. Anyway, he is excessively dangerous. And why is he in Boston of all places? You saw him in New York because that's where the incursion was taking place. Makes sense that he would be there in support of his lord. But why is he in Boston? This guy is bad news. Very bad news.
Well,
And
I
that,
think I know why.
yeah, I think you do too. But of course, there are other things going on now because you do have a magi in Boston as well. But you also know that this very powerful being, these magi, but Sedigir, if you, during your research, he's actually accredited with killing on his own more than a dozen magi. How he does that with their special powers, you don't know. But this guy is seriously bad news. And then that's where our catch up is done. 6 months have passed. Many things have happened. You guys got some new digs. You've learned a lot about Boston. You really understand the mover and shakers here. You're starting to make contacts. And of course, in order to cover all of that, I want to have you guys make a couple of rolls. So let's jump over here to the dice, please. All right. Now, we're going to have you guys make a couple of rolls, and I'm going to make a couple of adjustments here to our mechanics. They're not adjustments; they're just mistakes that I was making, and one adjustment. The adjustment is this. Instead of me rolling all the time for, combat's different. Combat's combat, right? But for instead of me making all these kind of rolls against you, I'm just going to go with a static challenge number. Okay? I think
All
that's
right.
All right.
easier. All right. So
Yeah.
that static number is very simple. It starts at 3, which is, why bother rolling? And it increases by 4. So it goes to 7 for easy. It goes to 11 for, challenging. Then it goes to 15 for difficult, and it goes to 19 for, impossible, etc. I'm going to use that. The second thing to keep in mind is um, we did it right the first time, but then I forgot for some reason. But with combat, when you know I beat you in combat, you have a choice of rolling again and trying to beat my number, and then I can roll again and beat your number, or giving up and taking a PowerPoint. Right? We forgot that, and I forgot that, and so therefore you should have been generating more PowerPoints than you were, which you had plenty anyway. Uh, that's an important thing. There are a couple of mechanical things, but they don't matter. Anyway, I'm going to have you guys make a couple rolls. I need first. I need a social roll. Now we're covering 6 months of time, so I'm going to put it at a dead in the middle challenge rating of 11. So go ahead and give me a social roll with whatever skills you want for interacting with the public. That's what we're doing. You guys have been, you know, during that 6 months, you've met a lot of people in the Umbral community, citizens, right? And you've interacted. So how did you comport yourself? Is what I'm looking at here. So it's a challenge rating 11. We'll start with was it GOP this time? We'll start with GOP. GOP, what does your dice pool look like?
For my social stuff, so that is 2d12, d10, uh 2d8, and a d6.
All right, sweet. So, and your character is built for this. It would be expected that you would
What in
do
the
this with.
world?
Well, no, it
Oh
would
yeah,
be
he's built
expected
for it.
he do this with flying colors. It's his thing, right?
Okay.
Go ahead and make that roll. And you're going
Okay.
against an 11, right? So,
Okay, so 2d12, a d10. Oh, wait, was that 2d8? Oh, it's 3d8. And a d6. Alright, here we go. I'd say that does it,
right.
even though there
Um,
was a 1 in
One.
there, but
there is a one in there. I'm not going today. I'm not going to get into the. I did build a campaign for it, but I will wait next week. Hopefully, we get tower. But it's okay if we don't have. We'll do it. So we won't get into that. So I won't bother to start to build my pool yet. It doesn't matter. But anyway, let's take our how you want to create those numbers. Now,
uh oh, sorry.
go
What
ahead.
were you gonna say?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
please go. Yeah.
I'm gonna do 20 for my yeah, well, and a d12 for my effect. So you know what?
Okay.
Actually, I could probably get an extra hero point if I spend a power point or 2 power points, right? Yeah.
Well, no,
Oh,
no,
actually, no,
no,
I get.
no.
Oh, that's not how we're not gonna
That's
do it.
another thing. I went and read the book again, by the way. No, no, no. It costs you a PowerPoint to add another dice that's already there. Technically, I don't know where we probably got this because we've been jumping a lot of systems. Maybe we got it from Cortex or somewhere else. Technically, there is no PowerPoint. There is no way to re-roll your dice in this game, even though we've been doing it. But that's okay. I'm going to keep it
That's
at two
yeah.
PowerPoints. Yep.
I think that's because that was one of the things because I didn't realize that before when I helped Tower pick that power out. Um, because I was just because yeah, I didn't think we could re-roll them. I just
No,
thought like that was
well,
specifically his power.
because
He
that's
could.
kind of a standard PowerPoint expenditure is to re-roll a roll, right? From all the other games we played. This game just doesn't have it, but it does now. We're home brewing it. Two PowerPoints to re-roll. So I'm not taking that away. That's too useful. But it only costs you one PowerPoint to add a die.
Okay, well then in that case, you said 11 was the target, right?
11's the target. Yeah.
Okay, so if I add the 6, and that'll put me at 26, and that will give me two. So hero dice then.
hmm
Would that give me? Okay, so that would give me 2 hero dice,
It
and
would
my
give you
effect
two hero dice.
is a
How,
D12.
right.
So,
However, this is another thing we're doing wrong. Um, to use hero dice, you must spend a PowerPoint.
oh
To get
really? I didn't know that.
yes, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. To get them, you don't. They are freely earned. But having a heroic success does more than what we've been doing. So you do pick up two dice, and it's based upon my highest die, which I'm using static die. So they're two d10s. You take two 10-sided hero dice. So go ahead and write those down. But also, what it does is it bumps your effect die or decreases the effect die, depending on the situation and how you want to use it. So in this case, your D12 is plussed, right? Now it doesn't matter in this situation, but what that plus would do, two pluses to a D12, what that would do, let's say you were making an attack, right? And you had a D12 stress. that you put on some. That plus would be instant kill, right?
Okay.
Or in a case of a lieutenant or higher, where usually they get knocked out instead of just taken out, right? That plus would not only be instant KO, it would be 2 points or 2 stress of trauma. And trauma is damage you take after being KO'd. It depends on how powerful the die is, like we just saw with this. And trauma is damage that is not easy to heal. Because normally you can heal a lot between a session or even with a short rest, right? You can heal some. But trauma does not heal like that. That's broken bones, blind, being blinded in one eye. That's the serious stuff. So we weren't doing that correctly. Once again, it's my fault. I had read it, but there's so many rules, I just didn't remember everything. Nevertheless, you do pick up those 2 hero dice. Keep in mind in the future. However, to use a hero dice costs a power point. You have to spend a power point to use hero dice for each one. So you can throw five hero dice at something, but that's 5 power points you're spending. But then again, we're also not earning as many power points as we should have, because every time you guys, I beat you in combat, you could push back and we can make another roll. We can do that. But when you kind of give up and just take the hit, you get a power point then too. So we forgot that. So that's or I forgot that. So that I guess it balances. Nevertheless, extremely successful. People love you, because most people don't like cops, right? It's general. Most people don't like
Hmm.
cops, but they love you. You're nice. You go to help the deli owner. He gives you a pound of pastrami on the side. That kind of thing. So you're starting to make a name for yourself. And lady, I need a similar role to you. Challenge ratings
Got
11.
kind of points. Let's see. Socials 8, and then
Hmm.
under distinctions is D6.
Well, yeah. What
Uh,
what what distinction are you using?
Social tick. How did I
I
explain
don't
it?
know.
It's
You just read it to me.
it's like scanning a room and picking up
Yeah, but no,
an
lady, you have three
I
distinctions, and
call
they should be written completely out in phrases on your page.
society, technically, and beauty. That's all it says.
Oh, I see.
Two
Yeah,
po-
no, that's okay. You need to go back into those distinctions and turn them into sentences, please. Yeah, just turn them into a phrase or a sentence. They're not.
One day, maybe.
Please do. But anyway, okay. And then what
It's a
skills do
paper
you
for the
have? Influence, I guess.
influence is only a 4 die.
Yeah, you're not built for it. He is.
Yeah.
Just make your roll. You need to get it an 11 or higher. This isn't life or death either, but I mean, just make your roll. Whew, I'm talking a lot
I need
today, GOP. That's the problem with
four.
these catch-up ones, dude. It's a lot of talking from me, man.
Hmm. Well, I mean, we're getting things corrected, and we're
Oh no,
we're
I
getting
rolled the
things
wrong
figured
one.
out.
Let me reroll.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, and it's good.
I rolled inside it. I'm
It's really
sorry.
starting to
Let
come
me
together.
reroll.
Lady, you would
Let me
also need all your ability dice too.
You have a D8.
clear it.
You
I
have
rolled a D2 by mistake.
Yeah, okay, so redo
D8
it. You have a D8 for your social, you have a D6 for your distinction, and a D4
and a
for your
D4.
default influence. So
There we
a
go.
D8, yeah, okay, here we go. No ones, no whammies, nice. Uh,
I tied 11.
well, no,
I
you
rolled
didn't.
11 twice.
If you want to spend a power
Oh,
point,
no,
you
that's right.
could, but it wouldn't matter because you have to beat my number.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't waste the PowerPoint. You just failed the roll.
No,
That's okay. You're not built
okay.
for it. It's not what your character
Yeah.
is. And what that effectively means is during this 6 months of you doing your job, and because you guys move as a unit, right? You always are
Right.
together, right? And GOP's the face man, and he's really good at it. We'll have Tower make a roll next week when if he comes. But yeah, people don't like you. you're a cop. You didn't fail
But the
miserably. You
people that
didn't.
work for me like me, do they? Don't they?
Well, that's fine, but we're talking about your interaction with the public here.
Yeah.
Now you
Okay.
didn't hitch or botch, so it's not extreme. It's just normal. You're a cop, and they're just not interested. And they're wary of you, of course.
Okay.
Whereas they glad hand GOP, you get glares, which is normal for a cop. You get used to it.
You're the
Um,
good guy. I'm the bad guy. How about that?
Right. Okay. So that's that. So you're 6 months of doing the job in Boston, and you guys, are like I said, you're learning about Boston. Next role we need you to make is, kind of the due diligence role. So this role is about how well you did your job, how well the paperwork was, and all those kind of things. So this is a mental role. GOP, we're going to take your mental. And what distinction you think would apply to the due diligence of being a detective?
Well, let's see. I would say, I mean, my mental is under my clever Umbral Explorer, but that wouldn't work best. I think my Fleet Urban Commander might make
Yeah,
more sense
that would be
for
much
this one.
way better. Yeah, way better. And keep in
Um,
mind, your distinctions can be applied in any way. They're not restricted, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So
they're
that
focused on certain things, but they're not. Yeah,
right,
you don't have
exactly.
to do.
All right. So mental plus that urban
So
urban one. That's perfect. And
D8,
then
D8, and let's see.
what skill do you think would apply?
Um, my influence would still probably apply because I use that in my job.
Yeah,
Uh,
but this is not an influence job. You might make an argument for it, but for mechanical sake, before we make that decision, what what skill do you think would most apply? Because I don't have them in front of me.
yeah. Well, I mean, my knowledge is a D6, but I also have a specialty in criminal enterprise.
Oh, there you go. That's what you use. That one.
Hmm.
Yeah, knowledge. And especially criminal enterprise. That's perfect for a cop. So that's your role, not the influence. Um, so knowledge and with a specialty. So go ahead and make that roll, GOP. 2d8s and whatever the skill in it, and of course the d6 for the
That'd
specialty.
be 2D8 and then 2D6 because yeah, the
Sweet.
knowledge and the criminal
Once
enterprise.
again, Boston is a big city. It's busy. You guys are very busy actually. It's just kind of incidental stuff. But once again, we're going to keep it. It's a 6 month roll, so we're going to keep it right in the middle at an 11.
Oh, and should I add my shooting and guns in there because it's
No,
part of my job too? No, okay.
no, we're not
So
making
two
that
D
that
eight and
roll.
2D6. All right, I'll just
It's a
figured
mental
I'd
roll.
ask.
Yeah.
2D8 and 2D6. Okay. Ooh, I would want to probably roll that one just because I don't.
Well, keep in mind, I'm
Yeah.
not collecting Doom pool right now. And for you guys' information, for everyone listening, and of course the players, if you're reading the book, the Cortex Prime book, I'm using the limited Doom pool. Which I like better because all it does is that Doom Pooler are basically kind of hero dice PowerPoints for me. That's all they are. I don't roll them. I roll whatever Either I'm going with static skill checks or combat, as you guys seen. They all have stats, so I'm just using the Doom Pool in that way. I think it works better, and it's also will keep them from dying every week because they suck.
So I will. So that's 2 points, right, to spend on the re-rolling the
Yeah,
one.
2 points
You
to
said
reroll. 2 point. We're gonna keep it. We're not gonna get rid of it. We're gonna keep it. 2 points to reroll.
okay, and that's a D8. So D8.
Okay, there we go.
Well, it's
So
better, but
it is
still
better
doesn't put me over. At least
without.
there's yeah.
You could spend another PowerPoint to do so.
I could. That'd be the last of my PowerPoints, but I mean, I could add the 4 to it and
Well,
make it a
no,
14.
at the beginning of every session you get a PowerPoint anyway. So
Oh,
you
okay. So I
you're
would have
just
one left.
yeah.
All right, yeah, I'll do that. Why not? It's not gonna. Yeah, it's fine for right now.
Okay,
So that's total of 14.
total 14. So it's success. It's not an extraordinary success, and we're going to put that's a D. You don't have to use that. Use the D8 as your effect. So it's a good effect. You're above average. 6 is like the bare minimum. You're doing more than that. So your bosses, from an executive point of view, are happy with you, right? And you've done a good job in the field. Lady, go ahead and make same kind of roll. So it's going to be mental.
Okay, I have some mental,
Mhm.
right? D8. Uh, the Grim Umbral of the Hacker, which is a D10, but it doesn't fit, in my opinion.
No,
Nope. Perfect memory, military wilderness survival. Nope. And then all the social stuff.
military
Really
would
nothing.
apply. Military would apply.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's a D6. I do have a
You have
knowledge
knowledge.
is computer knowledge, but notice is a D6 with a specialty in observation.
No, I
I
would go
guess
with
that
the
would
knowledge in the computer, add the specialty because you know that's actually very useful for police work. So go with your knowledge and the specialty in the computer, which is either a D6 unless you upped it to a D8.
it is a D8.
There you go. Make that you use that because in police work that's incredibly useful.
That's why I do all the reports.
Fair enough. Make
Yeah.
your roll.
Okay.
All right. Nice. You succeed with a
You should have
D8.
one more dice too. But yeah.
Yeah, there's still one more six-sided roll, but it doesn't matter. She succeeds. The D6 wouldn't be higher than that anyway. Probably. Well, roll the D6 anyway because you could get a 6. Roll the D6. You forgot. No, that's right. It's a D8. What am I talking about? No, she's right. She's right.
No, because she would have had 4 dice anyways.
That's
Either
right.
way.
So she's missing the knowledge die.
Well, no,
A
I
D
think
or
All right,
mental.
lady.
Oh, that
What is
no.
your mental is a D8. What is the military distinction? What is that?
D6.
Okay,
That's what I
so
was
you
missing.
just that's what you were missing. Okay, and it didn't do anything anyway. So all right. Therefore, you definitely succeed, and you actually get a hero dice for that, which is a 10-sider. So add a hero dice to your pool, a D10 hero dice, and you succeed. So both of you guys succeed. You've done a good job. Your bosses are happy, and it also helps a little bit with the public appreciation because you guys are professional, right? And then we're going to have our last roll, and this one is the nitty gritty rough and tumble roll, right? You guys have been doing some work. Some of it's been physical. There's been, actual guns have been drawn. It's all small little stuff. It's nothing worth role playing, but it's still taking place over the past 6 months. So this is a physical role. This is the physical aspect of being a cop. So it's going to be physical based, and then whatever you think. We'll start with Lady this time.
Physical. So it would be fighting. Physical is D8. Military, I
Sure.
guess, would be part of it because it's her perfect memory thing. It's a D6.
That is so low. That is
I
so
know.
low.
But my fighting is D8.
Okay, that definitely helps. Do you have any specialty in fighting, like guns or something?
I do have a D8 in shoot. No, D10 in shooting.
Well, then take shooting, whatever's higher.
Like shooting instead of guns.
Do you have a specialty in guns? Do you have a specialty?
Hang on. Yes.
Okay,
It's
so
a
that's
rifle though.
so we're looking at a 4 dice roll.
2D8, a D10,
Like in this
One
case,
d6.
Tower would have a 5 dice roll because he's also got an asset, right? That's specific to this. You two don't have that kind of asset.
So I got a
They
1d6,
do.
2d8, 1d10.
Yeah, you could have added that cologne to the social roll actually.
Oh no, it was in there. It
Oh, it
was a
was.
part of
Okay.
it.
Good, good, good. Alrighty. Well,
I
let's
didn't make it.
see. Yeah, it just enough. Just enough. So once again, this isn't your forte, but you do succeed just okay, which is good enough. Um, uh, uh, Go ahead, GOP.
Okay, so I've got a D8 for my physical, and then my fleet urban commander's another D8, so it's 2D8. If I have to pick either fighting or shooting,
Yeah.
I'll pick shooting
Okay.
because it's better. So it's
Would
3D8. I have a gun that's D6, and I have a signature asset, my 44 Magnum carry,
Yep.
which is also a D6. So
Yep.
it's going to be 3D8 and 2D6. All right, 2D6. Here we go. It's loading. 1-1. That's not good, but
Yeah.
still, I've got
It's
enough.
enough. It's enough. It's enough. So you succeed. Now, um, which once again, you guys are successfully able to deal with it in a professional manner. That's the rolls we're making. So, this is the way it's going to work. You guys get 5 experience points just for the past 6 months of just being you and doing your thing. So you got 5 experience points. Plus, each roll that you succeeded, you get 2 more experience points.
Cool.
So I think you succeeded all 3, GOP.
Mm-hmm.
So you
yeah,
have a total
twice.
of 11 experience points. Lady, you succeeded on 2 of the 3. So you have a total of 9 experience points. And that's a lot of experience points, but that's covering 6 months of time, right? There was no major events or major things that you guys were involved with, so but still, I think it's fair, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else we want to do for the last 10 minutes, but I probably should ask Anthony if he wants to get involved in that business dealing. I'm assuming I would have had like talked with our with Gabriel about like writing something up, and coming up with a good business plan and all that. But yeah, if we
Well,
have time for
actually,
it.
it's kind of perfect because I can do two with one. Well, no, actually, that's going to be her. All right, well, let's do him first then. So let me bring that back up. So you're over for the wife's new fettuccine alfredo recipe, and
I
his wife's not a bad cook actually. She's a pretty solid cook. Most Italian wives are. They kind of required to be. But you go over, you're chatting, and she's a nice lady. You don't get into too deep business conversations in the house. He's got 5 kids, five, ranging from elementary school to early high school. And it's a loud, noisy house, but it's also a nice, fun place. And the fettuccine is good. It's pretty solid. You think her bolognese is better. Her lasagna is freaking fantastic. And it's the proper lasagna too. It's made with ragu, as you should make it. But after that, you guys go into the his office, which is basically his man den, right? His man cave. Uh, he's got actually a pool table in here. He's got a pretty nice place. But you guys are just kind of chatting and normal conversation. This is just a friendly encounter. There's nothing serious. But you bring something up. Go ahead.
Hey, I've got this nice little business proposition for you if you're going to give it a little listen.
I'm always in the mood for the business. Yeah, go ahead. Lay it on me, Xander. or no Z. Yeah.
Well, I kind of I'll hand him the little file and be like, we got this. We're thinking about expanding our gambling operations. You know, it's pretty lucrative, but we got whole floors that we can fill up and get a lot of people in there, make some good money. You
Oh,
know, we already got a license and everything.
you mean the orchard?
Oh yeah, at the orchard.
Oh,
It's a perfect
yeah,
place.
we had a good night there. That was good. Yeah, he said, "Yeah, no, I know, business is good." He says, "I kind of already run a couple of these types of establishments, if you know what I mean."
Oh, wonderful. You're an expert in the field. I admire that.
I am. Mm. And he chuckles at that. He looks through the file and he says like that. So you want to expand the gambling? Yeah, because the cat house is working pretty good. I think it's a nice thing you got going on there. The gambling though, yeah, this is this is useless. Yeah, you should definitely improve that. Your speculation here, I'd say it'd probably be closer to 2 million though.
Hmm. Let's see. Can I roll to like insight, see if he's like pushing me? Because I mean, I get it. We're doing like a negotiation, but I want to see like, is he being upfront with me, or is he just trying to like
Well,
wheel and
I'm
deal me a little?
assuming you put down what I had said earlier at 1.5 million.
Yeah, yeah. I would have put
Yeah,
down whatever
so
number was like
he's saying
the
it's more
accurate.
expensive. You want to see if he's shining you. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's see.
He is a gangster after all.
That's true. Uh, okay. I mean, I can probably just roll my normal social roll. So let's see. 2d12, d10, 2d8, and a d6. All right, here we go. 12, d10, 2d8, and a d6. Well, that's not the best, but it could be worse.
Well,
Uh, hmm.
well, seeing as it's on my side and he's not shining you, the difficulty is 7.
Okay, well, I definitely passed. So, all right, yeah, no, he's good. All right, so, what sort of a deal would you think would you be amenable to?
Amenable? Yeah, you Chicago boys got to get your English right. Yeah. But yeah, no, normally something like this, we're going to come in, we're going to run it, right? That's the union works like that. We're going to run it because it's a union. We'll let your boy old Gaby there, what was it, Gabriel, right? That boy, the mousy one. Yeah, we'll let him run the accounts though. He can keep all the numbers. But we're going to come and run it. Of course, that means money coming out for our boys and wages. You got to keep the men working. Yeah. And then normally we take 30% on the top of that, but for you, 20%.
Doesn't sound bad to me. Sounds like it'd be a very good deal on my part.
Yeah, and
I'm
then of
just trying
course
to out
all
of
the
character.
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to think out of character. Like, I mean, this guy. It would just be good to have his people around, just as a useful. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff we could use them for, being disconnected to this guy.
Well, sure, it's Boston's mafia.
Yeah,
That's what they are.
and
They're like all Sicilians, right? But he Uh, but no. It's straight up fair deal. Now, of course, they would have to write it because these guys are incredibly pedantic. So there's going to be a full-on contract, of course, and of course there's going to be, you know, chunk of money coming out, a certain allocated percentage coming out every month. It goes toward paying the debt, right? It's going to be done not monthly payments, it's going to be percentage payments, right?
yeah, it
So
makes sense.
yeah, yeah. So that's normal. But just from the little conversation we have with him, yeah, he's not trying to shine you at all. Why not? He likes you. He also sees there's value in having a Dove agent as a friend, obviously.
Hmm.
Clearly, but for you, there's value as well. He knows that. He's not dumb. But and like I said, they do these kind of things anyway, and it actually helps the union. So sweet,
Okay, I'm cool with that.
yeah.
So what does that? How does that change things on our numbers wise then?
Um,
And
well, the first year it's not going to change much. Well, I don't know. Let's role play that as time go by. Let's leave that for right now. Let's
okay,
leave that for
all
right
right.
now.
When
We'll
you
we'll play it out.
acquire this information and you come back to your business partners,
Yes.
she's going to have a couple few things to say.
Okay. What
I'm
what
sure.
does she have to say? Go ahead.
Oh, she says they don't get no booty while they're here. They get it. It's on their time off, and they pay for it.
Well, of course, I wasn't. That wasn't part of the deal.
It didn't even
You
come
know.
Yeah,
up in the conversation. And besides,
I
when
know, but
yeah, no,
she's
no, I
more
get,
worried about the girls.
but
I
this
don't
is
know.
you're not dealing with Mr. Nix though. When,
Yeah.
like I said, he gave him that free night ticket just as
Mhm.
a promotional, but he
Yeah.
brought his boys in. They spent a lot of money, and they've been in a couple times since.
Okay.
6 months, 4 months have passed since you gained ownership, and they do drop money in here. These guys aren't like that. You've never met an Italian in your life, have you?
No,
Yeah.
not
Okay.
a true Italian.
Yeah. They don't like to be seen as being cheap. They hate it. Matter of fact, they like to be seen as affluent, and they kind of throw money around even when they don't have it. It's a
Japanese do
culture.
that too, don't they?
No, the Japanese are quite tight-fisted. Yeah, no, no,
I
no,
can't
no.
tell that when they go gambling here. They just like bring out the $100 bills.
Well, they're rich men on vacation, and you think it's a lot of money. There's probably not much to them. Keep in
No, they're
mind,
business owners here in Snyder, in
they're
my hometown.
well, yeah, but are they Japanese?
I think they are.
Yeah, I mean, are they
Maybe they're
Americans?
Chinese. Yeah,
Well,
but they're here in
Chinese are
America.
definitely throw like that. They'll throw money around like crazy. Yeah. But anyway, um, it is kind of a part of their culture, and they take a lot of pride. And it's one of the kind of things with Latino type peoples. They take a lot of pride in things, and that can be good, and that can be bad. But nevertheless, no, that is an easy sip. Matter of fact, I think old Xander here has been dealing with Anthony enough that he wouldn't even mention it. It would be insulting. But good
Yeah.
point. Any other points, lady?
No,
Okay, good. So that's a nice little wrap up for that. And tonight, excuse me,
right
we
on
will
time.
wrap up with this. It is now the summer, of course, of 2023. We'll say it's July. And you guys get a call from the BUA or the Boston Umbral Affairs. And they need you to, of course, the Dove agency got a call. And oh, the last thing I forgot to mention. Oh, I forgot to mention. Here at the end of the 6 months period, you guys are brought into Bergquist's office, and he has a sit down with you, and he says, you've all been doing a really good job here, and there's been an executive decision. Um, we need an official team for Boston. Uh, we've had them before, but those guys we're using them for veteran work up in the north. And we need a liaison with the BUA, with all the organizations, as well as the new Magi that's in town. So we've decided to make your team that. You are the official Boston team, a liaison team. All right. And he says, you guys have done a good job. You've been involved in a couple of things. And he looks over at Xander and he says, "Your social skills are the main reason it's been chosen." So,
I am honored.
well, and you know, it is a good position. You guys will still be doing all of your normal work here in Boston, but when it comes to, you know, the liaison and diplomatic stuff, we're going to send you to deal with it, unless it's some high-end official thing, which, you know, we have people for that. But this is your new title. You guys have gone, and this comes with a boost in pay of 10%. So what were you getting? What was I paying you?
100,000, so it'll be 110.
110 grand. So you get a 10% bump from that, and I have your first job waiting for you right now. He hands you a file, and it's just information that you didn't really have before, and this is a digital file, so he gives it to Lady, of course. And on this file, Lady, you could have found it if you dug through the computer. I mean, you could. It's not like it's secret, but it's been organized into, so therefore it's a lot more convenient. All of the factions and groups in Boston, their contacts, their leaders, suspected business, endeavors, criminal endeavors, everything. There's a complete write up of every faction in Boston, and he just hands it to you, right? But first thing you guys need to do is head down to the BUA. They've asked for a agency representative, and that's you. Now, I haven't really kind of fleshed them out here because this file is already getting kind of big for me. But there are other teams, obviously, in the Boston office. You have a bunch of veteran teams which are working outside. But there's also, like, we'll say three other teams that are Boston centric, like you, right? And some of them been on they've all been on the job longer than you. But So there are other people working. But what I'm trying to specify is you guys have been made the Dove agency liaison to Boston. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not
Only do we
like,
get all the factions. We get stuck with the hard nosed asses.
yeah, well, sure, but you've shown the ability to be able to deal with that, and GOP's character is really, really, really good at that, and that's useful because it's, maybe some of the other teams are more badass than you are, right? But that's not what they want from you. What they want from you is to be able to interact and kind of smooth the water in certain situations, because in this 6 months you've certainly learned and understood that there's tension all the time between the factions. It's a constant thing, and Dove is here to regulate that, but most of them are either suspicious or just straight up don't like Dove, because once again you are the authority, and people don't like that. And that's about the only reason. There's no real shady business Dove has been up to at all, particularly the Boston office, right? But someone needs to be able to organize that. And keep in mind that even though you guys are put forward as a policing agent, verification and policing agency, you are the hand of the pact in Boston. That's how it works. And a matter of fact, we haven't even met the pack bosses yet. The highest level pack guy you've met is Antoine, right? So that's kind of where they've put you in a position where they need what they need you to do. So you guys go over to the Boston Umbrella Affairs office, and secretary sees you, and matter of fact, there's going to be new badges printed up. Matter of fact, he gives them to you. Sorry. It's the same kind of badge you had before, but it has a little bit more of that kind of runic writing on the bottom. It just to a normal person, it would just look like heraldry. But for you guys, you know what it is, and it's simply saying that you guys are. Like a diplomatic title, is what has been added to
Okay.
your badge.
Okay, we need to put restraints on Tower's character then when he does dumb shit.
Yes, no, you do.
What?
What we need to get What Tower doesn't understand role playing yet. It's okay.
Oh,
Give him time.
okay.
He doesn't
I'll buy a
understand.
squ- I'll buy a spray bottle, and if he says something or does something bad, I'll just squirt him with it.
Yeah.
Just
Well, no, he just doesn't get it yet. That's okay. He'll learn. He will. It's okay. But he doesn't understand the concept yet, I think. Right. But that's all right. We have plenty of time. But and it's only a game anyway. But nevertheless, you guys head over, and of course, you meet with their liaison, who is Jessica Donaldson.
Jessica,
Uh,
yeah.
and all of these groups have liaisons for liaisons. And most of the you've kind of already noticed it, but as you've taken these jobs now, this kind of new addition to your job, all everything in Boston and probably other cities as well, it's all interaction between liaisons, right? Everything gets
Mhm.
done that way. And you've kind of been thrown into that side of it. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to change the game and there's not going to be combat and detective work, case files and stuff. Of course, there will be. It's just an extra element put on top. I think that'll be useful. Anyway, you go in,
We
you
have the
meet.
perfect meeting place too.
You do, as far as non agency stuff, you do, right? And that could be
Yeah.
very useful for diplomats as well. Yeah. Because keep in
Yes.
mind, this is not the FBI. They're not goody two shoes. Some of them are very law and order, like Director Sims. He is kind of that button up law and order guy, but we're dealing with the underworld here, right? We're dealing with people who drink other people's blood to survive type of world,
Mhm.
that hunt and eat humans. I mean, this is the world you're part of. And there needs to be a balance because if the umbrals, like you guys, the who are mainly magical people, wizards, if you're constantly battling against the trolls and the vampires and the demons of all sorts, well, there's nothing but war, right? There needs to be concessions, and that's part of it, right? So for you guys, doing business out of a brothel is no problem.
Mhm.
It's kind of normal. Anyway,
Yeah, we're gonna.
now here you have Jessica. She's just like you, by the way. She's a tethered umbral, just like you. You don't know how she became it, but she's like you, and you can see these things. Yeah, remember, I don't know if you wrote down in your character sheets, but you guys have a perk that allows you to see the true face of umbrals, unless they're using some special magic to hide, which do exist. For instance, I showed you a picture here of Mr. Doss, right? And this is what he looks like to you. He looks like a troll, big old orc troll. But for
Mhm.
normal people, he looks like an elderly black man,
Okay. Who's
almost like a
really
home elder.
jacked?
Yeah, well, no, he doesn't even look like that to the normal people. There's this kind of blur I'm taking out of World of Darkness that kind of affects the non-magical, the non-umbral people. Anyway, you go in and you meet with her, and like I said, she's nowhere near as irritating and grinding as the other guy, the seneschal. But she's not the happiest person. She says, "Yes, please, thank you. Come in, have a seat. We have a problem that needs your attention." And I'll leave
All
it
right.
there. I'll leave it there.
That's where you gonna
Uh,
leave it?
Cool.
yep.
Okay.
So, any questions?
That's a lot of freaking information. Let me go through the entire video again and I'll get some questions for you.
That's why I usually rewatch last week's episode before we start the game, so that's why
Oh,
it's
do you really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But I know today was a maintenance. If Tower was here, I would have cut the upkeep by half because I do have a mission I attached to it. There's an actual, little case file that I put on it. We'll do that next week. But I just, since he wasn't here, I just get it all done now, right? Um,
Hmm.
but I think it's useful. The world is fleshed out better. We know the rules a little bit better. We know the players a little bit better. Um, I'm not going to restrict you guys to Boston only. I will take excursions here or there. And that's one thing that the liaison title will help with. But mainly, I think I am going to play around in Boston here for a while, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, it works for me.
Yeah, because I know the city well. I lived there for years, right? So I actually kind of know the feel and location. So, but anyway, thank you all very much. That was maintenance day, but or upkeep day, but it was fun. Those are fun. And very happy that you guys come in. Hopefully, we'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll have Tower here. It doesn't matter. Like I said, I set this campaign specifically for that. We're going to have a little bit more action packed next week. All right. Well, thank you all very much, and later.
Bye bye
Night.
now.